Mm-mm-mm. Oh, let me check some settings first. Check, check. Testing. Testing, testing. Okay, that's good. That's coming through. All right. Hey, thanks, Violet. First gift of the night. Thank you for that. All right. Yeah, man. We're just getting started. If you're just showing up and you're one of these, what, 5, 7, however many, make sure you send your Harmy early gifting. Really helps give us a boost here. What's up, Sacrificial Lamb? Been a while, man.
Right. What's up?
Just chilling. I wanted to start earlier, but it's earlier than usual still. I'm hanging out.
Any background noise on my end?
No, you sound fine. I should be the only one with background noise with this music. How does it sound, by the way? Like, comparatively to my voice, I want to make sure that it isn't distracting.
You're clear. You're good.
It's just for the intro, anyway.
Yeah. A lot of people say, like, my fans are too loud in the background, so I wasn't too sure.
I can't hear it. Anyway, man. Thank you guys for being here. I just want to first acknowledge some people who I recognize. Thank you, Derby, for that heart me. I see Redheaded Troubles here. 3 pips. Superb is asking who's the artist for that track. I just generated some music. I just wanted to get a certain vibe. You know, I like metal with record scratching. Linkin Park was my favorite when I was like 16. So anyway, I named my son after Chester Bennington too. So I just fuck with that. So I just generated it. That way I know for a fact it's royalty free. Anyway, yeah, man. I guess while I'm waiting for a guest, we can shoot the shit a little bit. What's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. Every time I see you on live, you got like 3 people up, so I just like chill in the comments or just surf on.
3 people? Usually it's just like, I guess it would be like me, and then sometimes I'll do a co-host like Ogar or Cyber, and then the guest. Hey, Fen. Everybody's rolling in. Cool, man.
Good.
Yeah. So what's been going on, dude?
Nothing much, man. I saw that you got your live, and I just clicked on it real quick, so
Hell
that
yeah.
I just put it on here.
Hell yeah, man. Did I tell you, this is pretty new. I've told a few people here, but I recently joined TST, so I'm a Satanist now. Isn't that cool?
Certified.
Certified. I do have a certificate. It's under my. I have my laptop on the box that my laptop came in, on a little end table that I'm sitting at, and it was bent in the mail, so I have it flattening out under there, but it's got my like name on it, and it's got the signatures of the founders of the temple. I think it's just a copy of their signatures, but it's cool. It's like all official and shit.
All right.
Yeah. Hey, Tiny Science, what's up, man? Lupin. Yeah, man. Well, I do have Loop of Sound requesting. Let me try Loop of Sound. I've talked to Loop of Sound a whole bunch of times. Hey, Loop of Sound, remind me, you're a Christian, right?
Yes, thank you for platforming me. Yeah, I was baptized in '83. I still
Okay.
go to that church.
Okay.
Yeah, here in
Now,
Chicago.
to my recollection, you're always, at least with me, I don't know how you are everywhere else, but we've always had
Oh
pretty
wait,
good
hang on.
faith. We've always had pretty
Oh
good
yeah.
faith interactions. I think last time it just wasn't really going anywhere. Um, I think that you
Yeah, I
might have like
usually visit.
a little bit different of a persuasion than most or something like that. But
Yeah,
what do you want
you
to
and
talk about?
I. Yeah, you and I think we do stand at odds because I see you trafficking lies when we talk about Christ being evil, the Father being evil. You know, Jesus tells us where evil comes from specifically. He spoke about it. So if
Hmm.
you're saying that God's the one that's creating evil, that's trafficking lies.
Well, if God's the
That
creator of
could be where our
everything, if
impact.
God's the creator of
Yeah,
everything, then it would just follow that if evil exists, then he would have
yeah.
been the one to
Jesus
create it.
never stated that the Father created everything. You won't find him saying that anywhere.
I think it's in the Bible
But
somewhere
Jesus
though.
did say
In
where.
that Old
Yeah,
Testament?
yeah. That Yahweh guy. Jesus showed up and said, "Where's Goliath's family?" And they said, "You
Hmm.
told us to throw stones." And Jesus is like, "You can't throw stones at a defenseless woman." He put a sigil on the ground. Yeah,
So,
we're at odds
so
because I feel as though there's two different gods being talked about here.
okay,
Because the
that's actually
Father,
where I was gonna go with my follow-up question here because it seems like you, I guess you like Jesus, but you don't like Yahweh, is how it sounds.
Yeah,
see this thing like, I worship Jesus, I worship the Holy Spirit, and I worship the Father. Any other deity, should it bring you peace in your life, I'm not at odds with it. But there is no deity that would announce things like throwing stones at people that I could align myself with.
I
So if
mean, but
there
doesn't
was this
Jesus
Old
affirm
Testament deity,
the God? Doesn't Jesus affirm the old law?
he said we can't change the foolish things those guys did, not a dot, not a tittle. Everything that they presented to him from the old law, he's like, yeah, but here's a new thing. Here's a new thing. Every
But
time
why
here's a
isn't he
new thing.
saying, why wouldn't he say then, you know what, this old law is dumb and made up by men. Here's the good one from upstairs. Why doesn't he do that if it's so terrible?
Yeah, there's the other impasse. I never answer a question that begins with why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't he? That's like college level debate questions that should never be answered
Uh,
by anybody.
to be honest,
Yeah,
Loop of
you could
Sound, I'm actually
relearn.
disinterested, so I'll just see you next time. Hey, Sacrificial Lamb, I'm gonna do just one on one, but thanks for coming up and making your presence known. I always love seeing you.
all right, cool.
You have a good one, man. Hey, Dylan the Atheist. I saw everybody make sure you're following Dylan the Atheist. I saw one of his posts recently. I think he's kind of new, but he's got some really popular posts, and they resonate with somebody who's deconstructed from Christianity. He's saying shit that I've been saying this whole time, that we've all been saying this whole time, and I don't know, Dylan, if you're new, man, like, definitely want to make sure that you're known about and want to welcome you into the fold. Oh, Ben has invited up Dylan the Atheist. Hey, dude, how you doing?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're coming through okay.
Sweet, cool. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm just waiting for a good faith interlocutor here.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. So anyway, are you new? Because I think I went on your page and it seemed like you were kind of a small account, but your posts are blowing up.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like brand new. So I was a Christian like till May of this year, and then I kind of like hit this like giant like wall and deconstructed in like a month, and then like I was living with my parents, so I like moved out of that house all within the span of like a couple months. So like I'm like brand new and I'm like just starting to make this account because like I did a ton of research and I'm just like full of stuff I need to say, and I'm also very frustrated by everything.
everything's on your mind. I mean, you said May of this
Yeah.
year. That's insane. That's so recent.
Yeah.
That's so
Oh
recent. So
yeah.
it's all of the biggest questions are at the forefront of your noggin, and you're dealing with like probably the existential crisis and like the probably the
Oh
identity
yeah.
crisis, all that bullshit. Well, I'm glad you came to social media for this
Oh
because
yeah.
since that's fresh in your mind, you can articulate it better than other people who are kind of lost in the typical arguments that we get. But you're also
Yeah.
just going to be like, it's going to be more cathartic for you for healing and recovering from that shit.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's already been a good outlet, and like it's been interesting too because like it's pretty frustrating in a certain way because like people will just like you'll like say something and you're like I know like if they would just listen and then they're like in the comments and they're like no but like the Bible says this and I'm like I'm not talking about the Bible, like I know this is hard because like I was literally just there, but I'm like it's just like I just want people to listen.
You're just talking about logic and reasoning.
Yeah.
Well, Dylan, we do have a guest. I don't want Sacrificial Lamb to feel slighted. I did DM Dylan earlier on asking if he was interested in coming up and hanging out in my live, and now he's here. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you want to take a guest?
Um, yeah, you mean like you want me to stay up here and like talk with you with them?
Yeah, do you want to do that?
Yeah, that sounds great to me.
All right. So we've got this person coming up. Don't know how to pronounce this. Hey, how do I pronounce your name?
You can call me T.
All right, T. Are you at least 18?
Yep.
All right. What do you want to talk about?
I'm just curious. So for the first prompt, God is evil under what standard of goodness?
Under like a human standard of goodness.
I don't know what that means.
Well,
I'm
like if
asking
you like,
about
I mean,
us
it's
in
pretty
the
like,
day.
it's pretty normative. Like if you were to ask a human, like, hey, is it like evil to kill babies and stuff? You're just gonna get the answer yes, unless somebody's being really
Well,
disingenuous.
why?
That's just
No, but
what we see. Like
I
we
want the
pull
why to
human
that.
beings, and they all seem to think that it's like just like this natural thing that we do. We don't like it when our young are just slaughtered for no reason.
Okay, just because you don't like something doesn't mean that the thing itself is morally good or bad.
Holy shit, are you? I
So
mean, do you
what's the standard
disagree?
of goodness that you're appealing to?
Wait, just real quick. Do you like disagree though?
No, from my worldview, I can provide a justification for why it would be immoral to do that. Your worldview doesn't do that. That's the critique I'm making.
Okay, well, I'll just go ahead and grant, because I'm an anti-realist. Like I don't really think that
Then you
there's some
can't say
kind
God
of,
is evil.
I don't think that there's a, well, it's it's not that we don't say that evil, we use evil in a pragmatic way. Evil means something to us. It's just not a cosmic
Yeah, but
thing
no,
that
you use
exists
it to
independent of
presuppose a
us.
realist view.
So anyway, it's really easy for
Okay.
us to just normatively say that something is evil.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. Check it
On what
out.
standard? Do you know what evil is?
Listen. So
Do
this
we
is T. I just
do
want
we
to
do we
bring
know what
up
that is? Can I define it?
I really want to bring up the fact that whenever I have this topic, somebody comes up here and usually when they know that they can't justify the things that God
Uh-huh.
does, they'll try to just ask me what I think morality is and tell me that I can't justify it. But I'm entirely justified by my own framework
Yeah, you're the one
and a
that's
framework
appealing
and
to
of
that. So
values
no, you're
that you
not.
and I almost certainly share. If we agree that an action is immoral, then we
What
can
if we
start
just
there.
don't agree?
Okay, then you can
No, we
start by
can't start there
disagreeing.
because me and you agree.
Then T,
No, I'm sorry.
what we can
I
do,
know, but me and you appeal
sorry,
to
Dylan, I
different
said that I was
standards,
looking
don't
for a
we?
good faith interlocutor.
Oh
So
yeah,
it's
it's
really
all
hard to
good.
find one.
I
I
am being good
apologize.
faith. You're just like
We got
you're
like
being an
really
idiot.
shitty luck today so far, but anyway, so
Yeah.
we can, I mean, because you said maybe we don't agree, T, maybe we don't agree, but the example I gave was
No, no,
killing
I said
infants.
we can agree, but me and you have two different standards that we're appealing to when I say unaliving children is wrong, I'm saying that because it's not in the divine will of God for humans to unalive children. You're saying that on some just arbitrary standard that you magically appeal to.
You think it's
That's the
arbitrary?
disagreement. That's the
Well,
thing that I'm critiquing.
well, T,
Yes,
let me
your
bring this
view is
point up.
arbitrary.
T, you interrupt me like you breathe, dude. So let me bring this up. Like, if
Well,
it
yeah,
were
because you said
arbitrary,
substitute.
T, if it were arbitrary, you
Uh-huh.
wouldn't be able to accurately predict almost every moral value that I hold. And I bet you probably could.
You don't have any moral values. You can't have those.
Hey, what do you think of I think it's 1 Samuel 15:3, the Amalekites, the famous
Yeah, I think
passage?
that's based. Yeah, super based.
Hold on. Oh, wait. Hold on though. You said that you think that not killing children is within God's divine will, but he also commanded the
No, that's not the
slaughter of
thing that I said.
children. What did you
The
say
thing that I
then?
said was I said it's not in God's divine will for humans to kill children.
Right, so he commanded the death
There's a
of children
distinction
though.
between God and humans.
But I'm so
Yeah,
confused. I'm
and
asking if it's not in his divine will to do that, then why did he do that? That's his divine will.
um, well, do you understand the distinction between human and God?
This isn't a question. This is a dodge.
Because if you
Right.
understand that distinction, your question makes no sense. And well, it's not a
I
dodge. So
It
you're
is
mean,
well
strawmanning my
because T
position by
are
the
you
issue
saying
saying
the
it's
that
issue
in
is
God's
that
you
T
will to
you've
unalive
T you've
children.
stated T you've
What
stated
I'm
that it's
saying
not
is
in
that it's not in the
it's
divine will
T
for us to
yeah
do such.
you've said that it's not in God's
For
divine
us
will
to
for
do
us.
such. For humans to
Yes,
do such.
yes, you said it's
For
not in
humans, yeah.
T. Oh my fucking god, dude. You said it's not in God's divine will for humans to kill infants. So God commanded humans to kill infants. That makes it a part of his divine will. That's a P and a not
right.
P. This is a logical contradiction, T. I don't know if you've heard of logic before.
Well, one, it's arbitrary when you invoke logic. Two, no, it's not a logical contradiction.
Yes, it
Oh
is.
no. Do we need God for logic?
Yes, you do. He's the necessary precondition for knowledge.
Oh,
Does
You want to get into that?
God prior to like ontologically prior to logic, does God have identity?
There is no ontology. What does it mean to be ontologically prior to
Dude,
logic?
I cannot even do this, man. I just cannot. Like, first of all, he's holy shit
yeah.
bad faith. Dancing around, asking question after question, not answering ours. I really want to get somebody who's actually going to engage with me in good faith.
Yeah.
I really,
Yeah.
really hope so. We've had
I
terrible luck so far.
used to, so what's funny is during my like very intense like month period of deconstruction, I was like up watching like your lives, and like it was so helpful just to find like community like this. Like so thank
Oh,
you for
you were
that.
watching me? That's cool, man. That's cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like if I was watching, there's some people that I would watch. This was late in my deconstruction because like years because I didn't watch any of
Mhm.
the stuff. I didn't think why I don't know why I didn't assume it existed. Um, but like there's certain people who I watched that they really helped me, and I would have felt like since I DM'd you, like imagining if like I love Mind Shift, if you ever seen him, if he DM'd
Yeah.
me and was like, "Hey, come on," there, I was like, "Oh shit, man, you're awesome."
Yeah,
So that's
I
really
was like
cool.
so excited because I was
Yeah.
like, no way, because I had like you and a couple different accounts that like found me right away, and I was like, I immediately kind of felt like a part of the community just from like posting, because like it was hard to start posting too, because I'm like all the people that I know are gonna see this first, and then like random people.
I tried to prevent that. Like I tried to like disconnect my like phone number and everything and like all my I add the contacts, but I posted and immediately I saw that my brother has used your account and then like my brother's friend has used your
Yeah,
account. And it's like what the fuck? I guess I had a setting still on. Anyway, we've got Soul
yeah.
Path here now. Hopefully Soul
Hey,
Path,
how's it
are you
going?
at least 18?
Yeah, man, I'm 34.
And are you good faith?
What do you mean by good faith?
Are you like terrible like the last couple of guests we had?
No, I wasn't listening, so I caught the last
All
like
right. Well,
maybe
I mean, I'll just assume you're good faith until you prove me otherwise. I think give you the benefit of the doubt. And you're a Christian, I assume.
yeah. I say I follow Jesus as opposed to using the word Christian, mostly because I don't go to church. I don't belong to any denomination. I just read the Bible, and I've come to it out of my own accord. Yeah.
Yeah. The term for that is Sadakmak Bivtaj, where you're not really Christian, but you follow the teachings of Jesus. You just don't prefer the label. So the term for that is Sadakmak Bivtaj. You can just call yourself that.
Okay, I've never heard that before.
Oh yeah, it's growing traction on at least this app. But anyway, man, what do you want to talk about?
I guess it says there, God is evil. If you take Jesus as as the personability of God, how he says the Father and I are one and all that sort of stuff. and you look at his ministry to his crucifixion, is he evil? Or is he actually like I feel like he did quite a lot of good, and like the continuation of just that narrative and the example he set has been a net positive. I mean, of course there's been bad actors, I'm not going to deny that, but I believe it's been a net positive.
I mean, I think that so Jesus is the one who introduced thought crime in the Bible. That wasn't really a concept until he said, like, he who looks at a woman with lust in his heart has committed adultery, and he who looks at his neighbor with hate in his heart has committed murder, stuff like this. So
Yep.
now we have to like police our thoughts, and if you think the wrong thing, you're guilty of something deserving of hellfire, essentially. Yeah, that's I think a huge. I struggle with that immensely. I think it's terrible for people's mental health.
Yeah, I can see that, but I also would say if you are going to think about like the root of, let's say, major issues that could pop up in your life, you could also argue that keeping a positive mind frame, thinking about how your thoughts can lead to actions, that's like really the foundation of
Right.
action.
The problem is though,
it's a
like it
thought
says,
first, right?
it doesn't. It's not like a forewarning though. It says you're guilty of it. Like I agree that you should be wary of the things that you spend time thinking about because it will ultimately affect your actions, or it will most likely affect your actions depending on what you're thinking about and just how the way that you're thinking about these things. But if you make somebody guilty just for thinking a thought, like when you're thinking a thought, you're evaluating whether or not you should do something. So if I like think about committing adultery, if I think about committing murder, but then I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. That's wrong. Then I'm still guilty. It's as if I went through with it in Jesus's eyes.
Yeah. So I don't think it's like you look at a beautiful woman for say like just the adultery one, and you go, man, she's attractive, and then that's it. It's like I like this is how I would see it. It's like fantasizing and undressing the woman and like being like very perverted in your mind, like doing the actions in your mind to thrill yourself. And I mean that's like a seed almost that could lead to worse things. So that's how I've interpreted it. I wouldn't say it was just one quick like, your thoughts go astray for a minute and then you pull them back in line. I don't think that's what he means. And the same thing with like hatred, right? Like you can be angry and have road rage and then be like, oh man, what am I doing? And you calm yourself down. But if you like constantly keep thinking and about how you're going to get someone back, and you like, I'm going to burn their house down, and it gets like, you know what I mean? Like you start envisioning their suffering in your mind and you go real deep. Some people are like pretty ruthless, like, when they
I
just
could be
speak
pretty
about
ruthless, Well, so like when I became free from this thought crime bullshit, like I started saying shit that was like creative and like graphic, shit that I don't actually mean, but it really was like it blew off a lot of steam. I mean, I would get like, this, what are you describing the newest Saw film that hasn't come out yet type shit, over like dumb shit like road rage. And I don't mean this stuff, and I'm always embarrassed whenever like somebody like catches me like mumbling some crazy shit under my breath. I don't mean this stuff, but I think it's cathartic as long as nobody's being hurt from it, right? I think that it's totally
Yeah.
fine and acceptable. Like I would never actually really wish the things that I say to myself out loud when I'm like raging in the car, like I hope such and such happens to you. I don't actually mean that shit, It just helps me blow off steam. It's probably not healthy. It's probably not healthy. Like I probably shouldn't do it, but I don't think that I'm guilty of anything nefarious.
Yeah. Also, I'm just trying to remember it. Like, I don't have the Bible in front of me, but I believe the one on hate is like when you catch yourself, like, feeling anger or hatred towards a brother, you should seek reconciliation with them as quickly as possible. That's what he says to do. So, like, I mean, that's a very positive thing. In other words, let go of the hatred, let go of the anger. So you've already thought it, and he's telling you to go. The action is reconciliation. If I'm correct, I may be wrong there,
Sure.
but
So now I think that you're probably already well aware that whenever we say that God is evil, we're almost never talking specifically about Jesus, although we could still connect those dots. I've been speaking about some things that don't necessarily make him evil. It sort of just
Yep.
makes it like it's like I think it's not healthy to think these things, or maybe it's
Mm.
like bad advice, but it just really depends on who you think Jesus is and the kind of guy, like the kind of things that he believes in. Do you believe
Mm.
that Jesus and the God of the Old Testament are the same person?
I struggle with the Old Testament, and I haven't fully read the whole of the Old Testament. I've sort of gone New Testament. I read the first four books, Genesis, Exodus, Deuteronomy, and I believe Numbers, and then I sort of stopped because it's pretty intense, and it doesn't. Yeah, it's hard to
It
digest. So
doesn't
then
seem
I
like
went
it's
to
the
the
same
Gospel.
person who is Jesus.
No, you're
Yeah.
right. It doesn't seem like it, and there is some. People tell me this, right? This is other Christians as well. They say to me, you know, I say this is how I've interpreted it, and they go, well, they say you shouldn't interpret it, and I says who? The first person that interpreted it. You know what I mean? So
That's
I
a
think we
pretty
should
good
all
point.
read.
Right.
Yeah, we should all read, right? And we should all try to understand it from the cultural context, the historical times. Like, for example, the Tower of Babel. Is that a story? Or is that a literal? Like, it's hard to cross those lines from. And same thing with like Noah's Ark. You
I
know,
mean,
is that
I
about
think
is that a bit
these
is
these
that about a
things
recycle?
these things are like
Yeah,
obviously not real
Yeah.
stories, but I think
yeah.
that
So
they
that's what I
were
mean.
intended to be answers for those who did not know what the answer was. Tower of Babel. I mean, how do we get all these languages? Probably this stupid bullshit, and they just posited it. I think that's what happened. But like, if you go to Jude, which is the book right before Revelation, it does like make this connection that Jesus is God. It even says like the things that uh, God did, or things that Jesus, or things that God did in the Old Testament, they attribute it to Jesus. It's
Yep,
only one chapter. I'll just read a little bit here. I'm going to start in verse 5.
yep.
Now I desire to remind you, though you are fully informed once and for all, that Jesus, who saved a people out of the land of Egypt, afterward destroyed those who did not believe, and the angels did not who did not keep their own position but deserted their proper dwelling, he has kept in eternal chains in deepest darkness for the judgment of the great day. Likewise, Sodom and Gomorrah and the surrounding cities, which in the same manner as they indulged in sexual immorality and pursued unnatural lust, serve as an example by undergoing punishment of eternal fire. So Jesus is a killer according to Jude, because God is a killer in the Old Testament, and Jude is making that connection.
Yeah. So this it's a very good point, and one problem I have, and this is a conversation that I have with Christians as well, is the idea of eternal hell. Um, like, does it actually use the word eternal?
In the passage
Yeah.
that I
Like,
just read, it says eternal, and obviously, you're gonna get different translations that say different things. But I'm using the
yeah.
NRSVUE, which is like currently the highest attested one, because it takes
Mm.
context into consideration. It's like it's the most up to date as far as um, I don't know what you fucking call it, like the scholarship or whatever goes. Like this is supposed to be the creme de la creme right now.
Yeah. Can you tell me what was it, Jude? What was the chapter?
It's only one chapter. I started in verse 5.
Oh, was it the first chapter? Is it?
Yeah, it's the number 1 out of 1. There's only one chapter.
Okay, just bringing it up. So I'm not very familiar with
Which
it.
version are you using when you look this up?
I use Legacy Standard, which is supposed to be like another one that tries to consider, different like Greek dialect, and
Yeah, I haven't
I
even
mean
heard
they
of
all
that one.
kind of do in some
That's
way.
interesting.
And you said it was 5.
Yeah, I started in 5.
Now it says eternal here too. Eternal fire, punishment of eternal fire. So that's what it says in this one. Man, okay, that's a win for the people that believe in eternal hell.
It's
Anyway, I
pretty
just wanted to
whack.
note
I mean,
that.
there's gonna be
Pretty
wins for
bad.
like the annihilation, and there's gonna be wins for the eternal fire. Like the people who believe either one, they're getting that from the Bible. It's just that the Bible says two different things. And then,
Yeah,
like in the
yeah,
Old
exactly.
Testament, it says in the Old Testament it talks about Sheol. It doesn't mention heaven or hell or anything like that. I mean, it talks about
Yeah.
heaven as like up above is basically heaven. They thought of the sky and that area, that region as heaven.
I always like to gravitate like as the Gospels as the sort of the pinpoint, and then try to use that as an interpretation, for other authors, other stories, because um, like so Jesus said, right, that his kingdom wasn't of this earth, but everyone who believed in the Messiah thought he was coming to literally take up the throne of David, or like literally take up be the king of the
I mean,
Jews.
it does
That's
say that
kind of why
he'll
he got
sit on the
crucified.
throne of David.
Yeah, but he's obviously meaning like a throne that he was representing, like as a as a prophet, right? As a someone that brought the message of God to the people.
So, I mean, I think that's
So
just like
he,
a post hoc rationalization or like an apologetic that people throw in there. Like, whenever I hear about like a fulfilled prophecy, a fulfilled messianic prophecy,
hmm,
whenever I look into it, it either turns out to not be a prophecy or something that Jesus didn't fulfill or something that might have been a prophecy, but like it does not mean what the people think it means. And this is just one of those examples where I've heard this one before. It's talking about him literally being on David's throne, and some people saying that it's supposed to be a metaphor. That's just being read into the text. People want to believe that's the case, and so they do.
I mean, in Psalms, right? Those, there's a, what is it? I mean, I just paraphrasing, but he says, the Lord of my Lord, and like takes up his throne, and so like he says, like, obviously this is very poetic stuff, but a lot of that is it kind of echoes to what Jesus says about internal transformation. Like Jesus, he his whole ministry is denying like literal fleshly worldly stuff, and he's just preaching internal transformation. Like you said, the thought crimes, thought police, that echoes to the whole of his ministry about recognizing that it's within. That's where the word repent, even in the Bible, supposedly means to change one's inner state, especially in the Gospels. So I mean, there is a connection there that, yeah, you could say that the previous ones are literal and there is no other way to interpret them. But you can also then look at, those like prior hands, like how Jesus is the good shepherd, and those before him were hired hands, as he literally says that. So does that mean that he comes truly to look after us? You know what I mean? Like like to truly to give the full interpretation, the proper interpretation, and like when he doesn't change the law, but he tells you what it means, and like adultery and what those things are, even if you disagree
Yeah, I mean,
about the
he
whole thought
affirms like he
process.
does affirm the law. But the thing is, like, what
But then
doesn't
he
seem
goes
to
against divorce.
what doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense is how the Pharisees would condemn Jesus for being so different from what the Old Testament would say, from what the Torah would say. And Jesus is like going back to them and being like, well, by this we meant this. Um, he's saying to people that you should do what the Pharisees say, but that you should not do as they do because they're hypocrites. They don't follow the law, but like they hold to the law. The law is good. The law is secure. I don't
Yeah.
remember the reference. There's one time where they were chastising Jesus for not holding to Jewish tradition and washing his hands. Like they didn't wash their hands, he and the disciples, and then they said like you need to be washing your hands as tradition. How can you break the tradition? And he says basically like um, you and your traditions, you don't even follow the law, and he chastises them for not stoning children because they're disobedient to their parents.
Yeah, yeah, I do remember that. I don't think he says it exactly like that. He pulls them up on, um, about people basically twisting how they take inheritance. Um,
Hmm.
and that's like a legitimate moral dilemma. And if they're not upholding the law that was presented to them about that, so people are literally like taking advantage of their parents. But yet they're complaining about his disciples eating with like dirt on their hands or whatever. And then he explains obviously that what goes into the body doesn't corrupt what comes out of the body, which ties into like disrespecting your parents and idolizing their wealth as opposed to loving them, for giving you life and being your mom and dad. So I that's how I viewed that. I don't believe he said to go and stone, like even the adulterous woman in John, like that's he says those without sin can cast the first stone,
Cast the first stone.
and then
Then he
he
doesn't.
says, but he doesn't sin, right? He's not a sinner, so shouldn't he be picking up a
So the
stone
story
and throwing it?
goes. Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
he
like
says your
he
sins have
would
been
be.
forgiven.
It seems like he's saying like, yeah, I'm not gonna throw the, or he's saying like, or by not throwing a stone, he's saying, not even I'm perfect. I would throw this stone, but I'm not perfect. It just depends on your interpretation. And
But he
it
does
does.
forgive other people's sins, though.
Yeah, well, he
He
says that
heals
the
people
Father
and
gives
saves
him
their sins.
authority, so he gives that
Yeah,
authority to the disciples. But that doesn't
yeah.
mean. So I don't know. I don't really know what your position is, to be honest, because I think I asked like if you think that Jesus and God are the same person, Jesus and Yahweh are the same person, and it seems like you
Yeah.
don't really know for
I'm,
sure. But
yeah.
if he's
No, I
God, but
think
he's not then if he's not the Father, then like there's like more than one God.
no, I do believe he is the God of the Old Testament. I just think the interpretation is like, for example, right? Look at Moses. He was supposedly given. He saw God's back. Like I don't know what that means, but he saw at the back of God. And then God also wrote with his finger on the tablets and gave
Right,
him
right.
direct law. And then he
Yeah,
breaks them.
he yeah, like God
He literally
was
breaks them.
historically, like God has been more anthropomorphized. The further you go back in ancient literature about God, the more you'll see him being depicted as like a person. And then the closer you get to now, it's more like this abstract or like metaphysical concept. Let's talk about Moses though, because you said like you think that people's interpretations are messed up or something like that. Um,
Yeah, well,
but
I
obviously,
think God take. Can I just give a point first? I believe that God takes responsibility for everything. So, for example, he says he hardens Pharaoh's heart. So it's like obviously Pharaoh was going against God the whole time. So he gave him opportunity, and
uh,
then he allowed him to just be that way.
hmm,
That's kind of how I see it. But he's
yeah.
taking
So
responsibility
I
by
have a
saying,
I
"I
question
was I
hardened
was
his heart."
going
for
I was going
Soulpath.
somewhere else. But oh, Dylan, you got a question? You've been
Uh,
silent for a while.
yeah, I was just listening a lot and I was trying to figure out. I'm wondering why go through the lengths to listen to Jesus teaching, because like he did teach good morals and there's like a lot of lessons to learn from it, but why choose Jesus as God to worship over like other wisdom? Because I feel like there's other religions like Buddhism and stuff like that where there's like good like moral truths there, but without the baggage of like the Old Testament God and like the fact that he did so much controversial stuff in the Old Testament, and it like has to be rationalized to where you make like the good like loving Jesus fit with a just like Old Testament God. I just wonder like why choose Jesus over like any other faith?
I guess I just to me it's the story that's I guess the most appealing. It's the most I can't find anything so wrong with it. Like the Buddha, like a Buddha position is more about like the world is bad, and like, avoid, go to Nevada within, ascend like that. Whereas Jesus and like the Bible says the world is good, and that the two greatest commandments is like to basically love the one true God, and love the second is like it, to love your neighbor as yourself. So he says all these great things, and maybe that a lot of these like Hindu teachers and stuff praise Jesus. They say he's a great spiritual teacher, so there's a lot of overlap anyway. I
Yeah, I
just
don't know.
find like
I can't help but like really disagree. I mean, I think that if the number one greatest commandment is to love me, that feels like a weird thing to say. Like if it's a commandment, in what way is it like an invitation for a relationship that's freely given? I mean, this is like typically the answer to the problem of evil. Why is there so much evil suffering? Well, we've got free will, but God made a way, and He's offering you a chance, and you don't have to go to hell, but it's a free choice that you get to make. But then there's the number one commandment out of all the things that it could be, like don't own slaves, not forget that one. Murder, that's like number 6. The number one, love me, is a commandment. It's a commandment.
yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, this like literally is a hostage situation here. Not to mention, if we're just going to decide what religion we belong to because of things that resonate with us, these things are passing through our filters already. Like we're not just gonna follow it, then take stuff from it. Like we are analyzing it, and it's checking our boxes or it's not. So like if somebody says like my religion says you shouldn't murder people, it's like you have to already think that's a good thing to like say that you agree or disagree. It's not like you're learning that from the religion. You can get to that conclusion without the religion. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I just recently, I said this earlier today, but I just recently joined the Satanic Temple. And like I don't it's just like all the tenets I agree
Yeah.
with. I line up with all of them. I say Hail Satan and stuff, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it, I'll just be a Satanist. It makes sense. There's not really any baggage. But I'm not gonna like sit here if they come out with like an 8th tenet and it's something I disagree with. I'm not gonna really. I don't think I would be a part of the temple anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, sorry, yeah, the two greatest commandments, right? He says, and the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. And then what does it mean to love God? You know what I mean? Because we can't see him, we can't hear him. So what does it mean? Like how I interpret it is you're removing all, like it echoes to the do not commit adultery, which is like in the 10 Commandments, like number 2 or something. It's like the second one just below it. Or you only take the one God. And what I believe that is do not hold anything like above basically connection, because Jesus says in Matthew 25 about final judgment, about turning people away because they did not feed people, clothe them, basically look after other people. And he said, you do that to the least of people, you've done it to me. So that means that when he says love your neighbor as yourself, it's like the first one. Then he's saying that loving life means actually being good to your, like actually loving each other. I've created this creation. Now love it.
Well,
That's
I mean,
that's how I've interpreted
Jesus
it.
also does say that if the one who keeps my commandments is the one who loves me. So it's almost like, I guess it's all encompassing,
And
like
those
all
are
the
his two
commandments.
greatest.
Yeah, well, like the first one is like a catch-all, like all his commandments. If you gotta love me, and by loving me, you'll just keep all my commandments, right? Now there are some really shitty commandments. Let me see if I can find one.
He only gives like 7.
Well, I mean, he's God, right? So he gives like what 600 something, some odd laws
I
and
mean,
commandments.
from Jesus's ministry, he only gives 7. I
Where
know
is
you're
this?
talking
Right,
about
but the
Mosaic.
baggage that comes with Jesus is the rest of God's commandments, so like the rest of the Bible. That's the problem with Jesus, is that like it'd be easier for people to believe in Jesus if it was just his ministry, but then you tack on all of the Old Testament and all of God's conquests and like
Yeah.
like all the blood sacrifices like from animals, and like it's just like a lot of weird stuff. and then you have Jesus, and it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and like, it's true. You can apologetic it away kind of thing, right? Like you can say people were doing that stuff out, so he was shifting people more towards God by allowing divorce. Like Jesus counters that. He says you can only divorce for sexual immorality. That's the only thing. So marriage is very, very, very like serious. It's taken very serious to Jesus and how he communicated it.
How do you
But
feel
then they said,
about
then why did
how do you feel about over here in Deuteronomy? Suppose a man marries a woman, but after going into her dislikes her and makes up charges against her, slandering her by saying, I married this woman, but when I lay with her, I did not find evidence of her virginity. The father of the young woman and her mother shall then submit the evidence of the young woman's virginity to the elders of the city at the city gate, which is of course like a cloth that they would lay out for like the blood to pour onto. The father of the young woman shall say to the elders, I gave my daughter in marriage to this man, but he dislikes her, and now he has made up charges against her, saying, I did not find evidence of your daughter's virginity, but here's the evidence of my daughter's virginity. Then they shall spread out the cloth before the elders of the town. The elders of that town shall take the man and punish him. They shall fine him 100 shekels of silver, which they shall give to the young woman's father, because he slandered a virgin of Israel. He shall remain his wife, but he shall not be permitted to divorce her as long as he lives. If, however, this charge is true, that the evidence of the young woman's virginity was not found, then they shall bring the young woman out to the entrance of her father's house, and the men of her town shall stone her to death, because she has committed a disgraceful act in Israel by prostituting herself in her father's house. So you shall purge this evil from your midst. So basically, if somebody has sex with their wife and they don't bleed, which apparently only 40% of women bleed their first time having sex, they will get the death sentence for that. This is Deuteronomy. What do you think about this law? Do you think it's a good one?
Yeah, no, not at all. And I can completely understand why you would consider God evil the same thing with the slavery. This is why I stopped reading the Old Testament. I went to the Gospels, and then I came back. And Deuteronomy does mean second law as well. A lot of people don't even know that. So and then there's a distinction from the church anyway, that there's the moral laws, which is God's laws, and then there's the civil laws or like government laws that have kind of been extracted from that's for the people to decide, or the leader or the
What
prophet.
do you think is the explanation? Like, how did this even make it into the Bible? Is this something that you think God signed off on, or do you think that people threw this in here under the guise of it being from God's mouth?
No, I think God, like I said before, he takes responsibility for everything, and this is this potentially, okay, I don't know this for sure, it could potentially be a shift from something more wicked to something better. I know that's not a great answer, but we do know other areas were literally eating their children and sleeping with animals and doing all sorts of stuff.
What do you mean when you say go from something to one evil to something better? Is that what you said? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, like a progression in understanding. Like if you went to these people, right, and you gave them what Jesus taught straight away, they couldn't handle it. That's what I'm trying to say. Like they have to, we can see it over time that our morality gets better through time. I
think that's in spite of the Bible. I certainly don't think it's
no.
because,
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
But if God is like a perfect communicator, I wouldn't imagine that this progression would be necessary.
Yeah.
I mean, God was able to change everybody's language at the Tower of Babel, so wouldn't it be easy for him to teach us about morality in the same thing?
Free will, Dylan. Free will, man.
Right. I'm saying that God changed languages fundamentally during the Tower of Babel, so why would it be an issue for him to tell us about morality in the same time frame even?
Yeah, I said before, I don't really consider like those stories to be literal. Um, and that's but Deuteronomy, I do believe it is literal. It is part of the history of the Jews, and I see it as I mean, we know that laws were actually
Well, what do you
um
think is like God's?
improved on.
What do you think's in God's toolkit? I mean, do you think he's all powerful?
Yeah, yeah, I believe he's all knowing. He's all
All
knowing, and I would say he's omnipresent as well.
Yeah, so he's all knowing and he's all powerful, and
Yeah,
you're throwing in there omnipresent as well. I mean, if there
just
if there
those.
is even a conceivably better way than what we're reading here, like we're reading this and we're like wincing at it, then
Yeah.
obviously, even if we can't think of how, God would just be able to do it. He'd be able to make it a better way. I mean, what about the um, just don't create people with a tendency to want to lie. You know, some people are pathological liars. Some people they can't even bring themselves to do it, and when they force themselves to, they're just bad at it. You know, it's just kind of in their nature to not really want to lie. And this is all about lying here. Like this is all based on lies, or even just God's bad understanding of human anatomy, where he thinks that every time a woman has sex for the first time, the hymen's gonna rupture. It's like
Yeah.
it seems
So
like
I'll just address.
yeah. Go ahead, man.
Hang on, my son's sick. He just wants me to open a bag for him. Just, um, here you go. Okay, careful.
Go
Yeah, sorry.
also.
Um, yeah, he just wanted me to open a bag of popcorn. So the first thing I want to address is the idea that like, why not just create people better, basically, or like you know, you know, don't let us have that capability in the first place. And I would say that the temptation story, the temptation story, I believe in Matthew, just after Jesus, he fasts for 40 days in the wilderness, and then Satan tempts him. And the last temptation is supposed to be the greatest temptation. Satan brings him up onto a mountain where he can like view all the kingdoms, right? And he says, "I'll give you all these kingdoms if you just bow to me." And it's the greatest temptation because it's right there. He's saying, you can basically put this law upon everyone. And he says, what is it? He's like, he basically, he doesn't, I can't remember exactly what he says, but he refuses to bow. And, if you take Satan and you go, what is he representing there? He's representing power and control. So in other words, to have everything the way Jesus would like it on this world, he'll need power and control. And if he has power and control, he knows that that's going to lead to violence and a whole bunch of awful things. He can enforce
Well,
the
if
correct
he,
laws,
yeah,
but
if
it's
he
not going to come out.
relinquishes power and control for whatever reason, first of all, if he's all powerful, I really don't know that he would logically be able to relinquish power. But like if he's taking a step back, that's obviously going to just cause pandemonium. Like as we see it, I think that the universe that we have, the world we live in, it seems like we're being watched by either no God, a God that doesn't care, or a God that really wants all this suffering to occur. So, but like a God that's all powerful, that has all these great ideas, but not getting us to understand them, or not creating us in such a way that we don't have a tendency to have the urge to do these things. I don't think that's taking away anybody's power. I don't think that's good. I think that could only lead to better things. I mean, what do you think is the worst case scenario if God created everybody with just a less tendency to want to lie?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if we couldn't lie, or we had less desire to lie, then I mean, yeah, sure, I think we would not know the depths of evil as well, or the depths of how morally corrupt we could be. So I'd agree with you there. But I mean, just going back to that temptation story, the second one, he says, "Why don't you throw yourself off a temple, and then the angels will come down. Let your foot hit against the rock, like the angels will catch you, and then everyone will know who you are, and they'll immediately listen to you." Like, you are the Messiah. They'll immediately know, because I would have seen crazy angels come and just protect you. And he's like, do not put your God to the test. So he's saying it's not for me to boast myself, to inflate myself. He has to go and do it the hard way. It's the same thing with the turning the rock into bread. He has to go and do it the right way. There's a correct way to do this. He has to go and literally preach to people and convince them, and he convinces them through his life and his actions.
I
Why
really
does
just
he have to do that though? I don't understand.
yeah,
Like,
I don't
why does
either.
any of this have to happen if God is all powerful?
If God's all powerful, there is no
Um,
has to. Like if his hands are tied, then he tied them in himself.
Yeah, but I guess is it truly a relationship if we don't have the ability to choose what we do? You know what I mean? Like
We could
we're
still choose, but I mean, like if you don't believe, like if the crux is you've got to be able to believe, he can make us believe, and we'd actually have more free will, because then we'd have a well informed decision being made rather than one where we just have misinformation. Like I think I'd have more control over my will if I have all the facts before I make a decision. But if information is being withheld from me when I'm asking for the information, and I make a decision and I make it wrong because the information was withheld from me, that's a violation, in my opinion.
what information is being withheld? Like, just you mean
That
like
God
God presenting
exists,
himself to you?
that Christianity is true, because this is like he's extending his offer for a relationship. But obviously it's like if I told you that Mickey Mouse wants a relationship with you, I mean I could not convince you that that was actually true. And then guess what? You go to Disney hell because you didn't believe me. It's like you needed it, you needed it proven to you. Otherwise you cannot force yourself to believe the paradigm of Mickey Mouse being Disney God or something, and he's gonna send you to Disney hell if you don't take his low gloved hand. It doesn't make any sense. And if he has the power to show you, he could walk up to you and show you. He could throw down one of those portable holes from Toontown and jump in and pop up and be like, "Haha!" and show himself to you. And you're like, what he
Yeah.
said is true. But he just doesn't care to, or he would prefer that you do go to Disney hell. Cannot see it any other way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I think like your understanding of what are we supposed to believe? Like, I think Jesus says it. Like he says, at the end of times, people will come to me saying, "Lord, Lord, have I not cast demons out in your name? Have I not like healed people in your name? All this stuff." And he tells them to turn away from me, you men who practice lawlessness. I never knew you. So he's saying to believe in him literally means to listen to his words and then like hang on to those. That's what it means to believe in Jesus. So he's not even saying believe in like he doesn't say pray to the Father and things like this and like have faith, and everyone has supposedly a small amount of faith anyway, like a little seed, a little mustard
Sounds like it's
seed
just
of faith.
being reduced to essentially be a good person or something like that.
Yeah, well, the two greatest commandments are basically, like you said, they kind of filter everything. They kind of like at the top, and everything sort of clings to them. And it seems obvious, if we just all treat each other well and we love each other and we don't hold money over each other and we don't idolize things above our relationships with people, then we'd be living in heaven. And I mean, you said before, right? I believe that we are progressing in morals regardless of God. But someone,
Well, what's
from
wrong
my
with us
perspective,
just treating each other like that without Jesus, though?
well, I think Jesus is echoing us to do that. He even says about the Good Samaritan, right? And how that is loving your neighbor. So
Well,
he's saying that he's praising the Good Samaritan.
Soul Path, I mean, I definitely appreciate your, like, I think that you're probably saying some kind of heresy somewhere, because this is definitely a niche take that I've heard on Christianity. I definitely prefer it. It's I think it's more thoughtful. It's definitely more watered down. It's less extreme. You're like, you don't think that some of these things that are apparently literal, you think that they're metaphorical or something, or maybe, or something like that. You don't think that,
Like
like,
the Garden of Eden.
you've got
I
like
don't think that's
issues at the same places we have issues, and you don't make up answers for it. I do appreciate that. But we've been talking for over 40 minutes. I got a few other people who are requesting, so I want to give them a
Yeah,
chance.
sure, man. I'll
Yeah.
drop down and have a listen. Hey,
Yeah.
thanks for having me. It's been great.
Absolutely. Have a good night, man.
Thanks so much.
Yeah. And before we bring up the next guest, guys, make sure you keep tapping the screen. Give Dylan a follow, by the way. He's new and he needs even more validation. So let's give him some more validation.
Thanks, Luke.
Yeah. Make sure to just keep sharing out the live. We've got almost 8,000 likes. That's awesome. We can get to 10 probably by the time I sit back down, because I'm about to stand up and do something really, really important.
Well, Lube's is getting a beer. Yeah, Lube's is getting a beer right here. Didn't you hear that boy Lube's is getting himself a note of beer? Yeah, so you should get one too. I said it's beer time. Yeah, it's beer time. Whoa. Flippity flappity flapping door below. Bitch. What kind you get? Ooh, that shit looks good. Yeah, baby, yo. Bitch.
All right, we got Unknown Flows coming up. Unknown Flows, I believe I've spoken to you before because I recognize your name, but I don't remember. I don't remember how it went or what it was about or anything like that.
No, it was an August live. I think it was. I was discussing with Olga. I don't think you really impute into it, but we have met before. It was nice to meet you again.
Yeah, great. Well, then this would have been pretty recent because Ogar's only been around for a few months here.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, and you're Christian, right?
I am Christian.
Okay. Well, what do you want to talk about?
Christian. So we could talk about. I would like to address all three topics, but the start first would be neither are real.
Sure. Yeah. I don't believe that either of these characters are real. I can't think of a good reason to think that they are real. I've heard some arguments. I think they all fail. Some are better than others, but I think they're all in the category of bad. Or like sneaky. You know, I think there's some sneaky ones out there. And I do think that there's some pretty good reason to believe that they can't exist depending on certain premises being true.
Okay, what would you say those premises are?
So a really popular one, and Ogar runs this all the time. This is the idea, right? So God would have a mind. That's what makes him personal. If he doesn't have a mind, then he's sort of just like a force of nature. God is a who, not an it, right? God has a mind, he thinks.
Yes,
so
makes sense.
And minds have at least one mental state, right? That's kind of what constitutes a mind. Your mind is in a state.
What do you define a mental state as, though?
Just like, I don't know how else to put it, but then just a state of mind. If your mind is alive and you're able to
Wouldn't that be a
think,
tautology then?
Yeah, it's a tautology. The way that I just said it, I'm trying to think of a better way to put it. Let me look it up to make sure. Maybe there's a better way to. We all use
Let me
language
look on my
so
other phone.
efficiently,
What is a mental state?
and when we try to define things.
And why I'm asking, I'm not trying to like catch you or something. I'm just
Okay,
saying
your current
if we don't
condition of
have the right
thinking, feeling,
definition.
perceiving, and being aware at any given moment. I like that one. I think I agree with that. So one more time, what I just read, which I think this is how I would answer if I had like known I was going to need to define it. Mental state is your current condition of thinking, feeling, perceiving, and being aware at any given moment.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, so if you have a mind, you have at least one mental state. And it's either going to be one unchanging mental state, or it's going to be a series of changing mental states. But if you have a series of unchanging, or if you have a series of changing mental states, then they would exist in time. This would mean that God would have to, since he's outside of time, you need to be outside of something in order to create it. If you're sitting inside of something, you can't create it. It already exists. So God would be external to time whenever you would make time. You would have one unchanging mental state. The problem with this is that if God goes from a state of not creating to creating, his mental state would necessarily change because he would be aware that there is no
Why?
universe. He'd be aware that there is no universe. Then he'd be aware that there is a
What if he?
universe.
But you could argue that he would always be aware that there would be a universe. So in that instance, his mental state would not need to change.
Well, so if he's always aware that there would be a universe, then it's a never-ending, unactualized future, right? If that, well, I think that would be kind of be a paradox. If there always will be a universe, then there never is a universe, which means there never really was going to be a universe in the first place.
Right.
So would you say by this argument, when an author writes a book, on completing the book, the author's mental state changes? Or would you say there is any possible world in which an author could write a book without their mental state changing?
The author exists in time.
The author exists
Yeah,
in
but I'm
time,
saying, is it
and the mental state absolutely does change, but the author exists in time. So like God might not
so? Wait,
exist
wait,
in
wait.
our layer of time or our tier of time, but God would still exist in some facet of time if he's able to do anything,
Wait,
if he's able to change.
but what I'm trying to pinpoint is, let's assume that the author's mental state doesn't change. Is this something that only beings within time can experience?
What, mental states changing?
Is so the two things I'm trying to sort out is, the first thing would be, is it possible for any author to exist, to write a book without their mental state changing? And if
No.
that is a possibility, okay, hear me out. If that is a possibility, is that something that only beings within time can experience?
Well, it's not a possibility. If it is a possibility, it's hard to wrap my mind around that actually being possible.
It's because you're defining a mental state as any form of change. But I don't think a mental state is just any form of change. I think I can have opinion. Let me give an example. I can have opinions on who Donald Trump is as a person. I can write a book that highlights my opinions on Donald Trump. In that book, I don't think my mental state on who he is would change after I've written the book. So I don't think the book kind of affects me in any way.
Your mental state would change from I'm going to write a book, then it would change to I'm writing a book right now. Then when you finished, you'd be like, your mental state would be I have completed writing my book. That would be the change.
So now that would now, how are we defining mental state? Are we defining mental states as our knowledge of events, or are we defining mental state as our perspective of reality,
Both would fit
or
under
both?
this. Both.
Okay, so
Both
so
or
that would now
either.
be the difference. So that would be where we disagree, because I would only define mental states as our perspective, and I don't see how
Yeah.
God's
So like from your
knowledge of
perspective, you went through a process and completed something. So from your perspective, at one point of your perspective, you were writing a book, and at another point of your perspective, you had completed writing that book. So in your perspective, your mental state, it was changing based on the task that you were accomplishing.
No, I don't think your perspective changes at all. I think your knowledge of what has happened changes. I don't think your perspective changes per se. But I think we're gonna be at an impasse on this, because we wouldn't
It would appear
have the
so.
same. Yeah. But the question I wanted to ask is, do you believe in strict materialism?
So the way I think about it is, so I like to use the word physicalism because materialism makes me think matter, and I think that if they're the same, then that's fine. But so I know that the physical world exists. We all agree that the physical does exist. To posit that there's anything else, I don't really know that there is anything else. And if we discovered that it interacted with the physical world, we would just categorize it as physical because it's interacting with the physical world. If we could detect it, if it would show up on any of our devices, if it's something that we can't see with the naked eye, we would just classify it as physical. So probably so. Yeah, probably
So
so.
how do you trust the thoughts of your own mind if all that exists is the physical realm? Wouldn't you say
Um,
your brain is just like atoms bouncing around in your skull? It's not really even optimized to find
I
truths
think
per
that's
se.
an oversimplification of consciousness. I don't think it's atoms bouncing around in a skull.
I mean, so what is it then, if not more than atoms bouncing around in your skull?
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know that.
biology is
Go ahead,
Oh, go ahead,
Nolan.
Lopes.
You could take a
Oh,
crack at consciousness. This is a
I
rough
mean, I
one.
was just gonna say, like, it's complex bonds formed by like carbon atoms. That's what we're made of. So like we're a lot more than just atoms, and like you can pack a lot of information into like our brains. So it's like you can almost answer consciousness if you look in the direction of where science is taking us. You don't necessarily need God for consciousness.
Yeah, but why is that optimized for truth finding?
So our minds are adept to find truth because evolution would.
Why? How would you
Well,
how did you
so
come to that
so
conclusion?
unknown flows. I said because, then you interrupted me to ask why. All right, like just relax, okay? So the reason why we're adept at finding truth is because evolution benefit, like somebody undergoing evolution or a population undergoing evolution is going to have a better chance of survival if they understand their environment. If they know about their environment accurately, they can make predictions about setting traps, for instance, if they're hunting or whatever. They can learn about water cycles and farming, and they can know the difference between how different animals sound when they step on leaves. This is
Mhm.
predator, this one's prey. It doesn't. I mean, it's not foolproof. Evolution is not perfect, and sometimes we don't understand true things. You and I disagree on many things. So obviously, we don't always learn true things because necessarily at least one of us is incorrect. But I think that we have proven to one another that we can learn about true things because of our advances in technology and our ability to make accurate predictions of what's going to occur in the future.
But would you say that there are any instances where believing a lie is more beneficial for survival than believing the truth?
Probably.
I would say that evolution says that we are like programmed for truth. Like, because if you think so, say you took like a schizophrenic person, and then you took a person that doesn't have that mental state, and you put them in the woods and tested to see like how long each one survived, and like you like obviously that's not very ethical or moral, but if you did that, then you would have the schizophrenic person possibly seeing things that aren't there, um, having a lower chance of survivability in the wild because he's falling for like threats that aren't there, and he's wasting energy running and using brain power to acknowledge threats that aren't there.
Right.
Whereas somebody who isn't like that would survive longer by not seeing things that aren't true. So you could say that the schizophrenic is seeing things that aren't true, while a person that's not in that state is seeing reality. So then we are tuned for reality given natural selection.
Yeah,
Does
and
that
I
make
don't think
sense?
that we have a perfect perception of reality. Like
Right.
our perception of reality is wildly different from that of like a hummingbird's or a dog's or any other animal. We see different colors, we have a different metabolism, so we experience time in a different way. There's probably other senses. Bats have sonar. We don't have sonar. We experience the reality through our own human lens. So I don't think we get a fully accurate picture. That's why we have devices that can pick up on things like infrared. We have telescopes to see farther. Um, but like given our resources, we can still apply reason and understand based on what we've got. We can use these tools to learn and grow things, and we can demonstrate what's true, and we can rule out what is demonstrably false.
So what I would say is you guys gave very beautiful examples and I agree. But I would argue that there are more reasons believing a lie is more beneficial for survival than believing the truth. For example, you could have the placebo effect, where the instances where people believing that they will get well actually produces a physical result, healing their bodies, healing, their minds.
Hmm.
Social cohesion,
Like when you
where a
pray,
leader
yeah.
has told a lie,
I was about to
social
say, I feel like
cohesion.
this is kind of
So
a good point for us.
let me just like list my counter arguments. Social cohesion, so a tribal leader telling a lie, whether it's a political or religious leader, and that kind of uniting the group more so than if the lie had not been there, or even error management. The smoke principle theory. So like you hearing a rustle in the bushes and you feel like that is a predator, even though that's not a predator, believing that in that lie is kind of more beneficial for your survival in that instance. I would argue that there are more reasons believing in a lie is a
I
more
don't know. I
evolutionary,
mean, there's
it's
you've
beneficial
listed some
evolutionary
ways, and I agree. Like
reasons.
I agree with what you're saying up until you say that there are more reasons. I just don't think there are more reasons. Like, if if you knew that that you needed to drink water in order to survive, that I mean that's a true thing that you can learn from evolution. Or if you knew that you needed to avoid walking off of cliffs, or if you needed to know that if you needed to be able to see what was a flower versus what was like a speeding car. I mean, I can usually accurately tell the difference between a flower and a speeding car. There's so many flowers to look at to identify that they're actually flowers and not speeding cars. There are definitely times when believing a lie is beneficial to your survival. Like if somebody tells you, like let's say you're gonna go out, you're gonna go into a burning building to save somebody that you love, and they're in there. Somebody tells you that they're safe, so they save your life. But the person that you love did, they were already burnt up in there. You would have ran in there and burned yourself up, right? Like you can believe a lie and that's beneficial to your survival. I don't think it. I think it's actually a far cry to say that there are more lies for us. Otherwise, that would be the trend. Right, that would be the trend. We would just be believing lies. Oh shit, dude, we do believe a lot of untrue things though.
Do you
Maybe you're
believe
onto
like
something.
there are different types of infinities
Oh yeah, you've got like what is it, like Aleph Null. You got accountable infinities and uncountable
and
infinities.
uncountable infinite? So would you say that there are more infinite lies than there are truths?
W-
Or there are infinitely more possible lies than truths?
I've never thought about this before. Do you have
How are you
like?
So think of it
defining
like every
lies?
every every objective true statement has like how would I even let's say you say I am a man, for example, that's an objectively true statement. There's a virtually limitless number of lies that could target that statement. So I could say I am a man, then I can say I am not a man, I can say I am a dog, I can say I do not exist. I can make an infinite number of lies to counter every true statement. So even though the truth in itself could be infinite, the number of lies is a greater infinity than the number of truths. Would you agree to that?
I think that there's an infinite truth things that you could probably say. Uh, I'm a man. I'm certainly a man. I'm really, really, really a man. I'm really, really,
Right.
very, very, really a man. Um, um,
You have an infinite number of
But would you say
adjectives.
that
you
there's
could
an
say
infinite
like
greater number of
you could say
lies?
it's true that 1 + 2 = 3. It's true that 2 + 3 = 4. It's true that 3 + 4 = 5, etc. Ad infinitum.
I'm not saying that the truth does not exist within an infinity. It does. But when you consider that there are different types of infinities, mathematically, there are more infinite
But like,
lies
what's
than
the
there are
point?
truths.
I mean, this is kind of a weird. I think that to be honest, on Influence, I think we're on a major red herring here. We're talking about like whether or not there's. I think like this point's kind of been diluted into something that I don't think any of us actually
So I
care
think
about.
what I'm trying to say is in a physical reality, in a physical world, you have no reason to trust that your mind is optimizing for truth.
Well, what do you think is the alternative? Like, just so let's say I'm going through my life and I'm about to get in my car, and I have, in your view, like I don't have any reason to believe that my car will get me to work, like it has all the other times before. Like
Or your
I have
car might
no
not even
reason,
exist.
or that the car even exists. Like, so
It
what
could
what
be an
would you
illusion.
recommend? What would you recommend I do? What should I think?
So what I'm saying is the logical conclusion of materialism is nihilism. You have no reason to do anything. Everything is pointless. You
Well,
you have no reason to believe anything. You have no
What
you
reason to
about
do
can
anything.
you can do
absurdism?
whatever you want to do under nihilism because nothing matters. If nothing matters, it doesn't matter that nothing matters. Um, yeah, so whatever life means to you, you can just like I mean, you can live pragmatically. If you're a nihilist, it's like, well, I don't know if my card is absolutely real or if it's just a figment of my imagination and I'm a brain in a vat or some shit. But this is the life I exist in, and if I'm in a matrix, then I'm gonna drive my fucking matrix car to matrix work and get my matrix paycheck. because that's my life.
Well, and that's just even one argument against materialism. Another thing is like within materialism, do you even have free will, or
Well,
is everything just pre-programmed
your
to be?
argument is like telling us that like things don't matter or something, and I am kind of a
On the
nihilist. I'm an
materialist
absurdist.
worldview, yes.
I'm an absurdist, right? But that doesn't mean it's not true.
Yeah, I'm not saying nihilism is not true. I've never said that. I'm not saying it's not
Because
true. I'm just saying
I
if
want to
you,
talk about what's true and what isn't true. I don't want to talk about like what's prudential.
I do believe it's not true, but what I'm trying to say is like
But you were
within
arguing
a
against
materialism,
materialism,
yes,
right? Like you're
because it
arguing
doesn't.
against it being true, but you're giving
I think
prudential reasons. Like it would suck, or we would be depressed or something if it was materialism. But I mean that doesn't mean it's not true.
You know what? That's a good point. That is a fair point. Just because we would be depressed if we were all nihilists doesn't mean it's not true. That is a good
unknown.
point.
You're a Christian, right?
Yes, sir.
So I'm not speaking for you, but I was a Christian up until this year, and I found that a habit I had with the Bible and with Christianity was that I would look at philosophy and I would automatically try to like disprove every single philosophy that didn't like um adhere to
Match
like
your worldview.
God's teaching. Yeah.
Yeah,
But the thing is
confirmation
that
That
once
makes
you
bias.
sense. That
step
makes
out
sense.
from like a dogmatic worldview, you kind of fall into like this, oh, so I'm not a nihilist, but at the same time, like nothing would matter if we didn't care about it mattering. Like if humans didn't exist, then animals would just kill each other and that would be how it is. But the fact that we're here, so you can pull a little bit from that, but it's like it's not like nothing matters. So it's like you can pull from different like philosophies, and I think that's like I feel like you're trying to like disprove all these tenets of like what life would be like outside of Christianity, but you don't like that's not necessarily how it needs to be. You can I might be wrong. That's just how it was for me.
Okay. All right. But my argument would be that we're all doing that. I don't think humans can exist without dogma. It's just some people are more dogmatic than others. I think even people who claim to be atheistic and agnostic have certain axioms that are unprovable and create dogmas out of those axioms and try to persuade people to their worldview. So I'll just argue that you're doing that from agnosticism or atheism, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem becomes when you're so dogmatic that you cannot consider another person's worldview, or you try to physically force someone to like adhere
Well,
or live to your worldview.
I pretty much agree with what you're saying. But like, when I say that neither are real, because this is the original point we were on. When I say neither are real, normally you would the best way that you can do it, if somebody posits God, you can't disprove it if they don't tell you about what that means. So like depending on how somebody describes or defines God, you can disprove it unless it's just unfalsifiable, right? So if you have a certain proposition for God and you give him characteristics, I could probably find something wrong with it. Like for instance, let me just see if these premises land with you here. Do you believe that if God exists, then God's all powerful?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Do you believe that an all-powerful being would succeed in accomplishing anything they pursue?
As long as it's not contradictory, yes.
Okay, yeah. So like anything logically possible.
Anything logically possible. Like they can't create a square circle, but anything
Sure.
logically possible they would be
Right,
able to do.
okay. And do you believe that like God pursues a personal relationship with everybody?
Yes, I do.
Do you believe that everybody will enter into a personal relationship with God?
No.
So then it would just follow that God is not all powerful because God's pursuing a personal relationship with everybody and is failing to have a personal relationship with everybody. So he can't be all powerful because if he's all powerful, he simply would have succeeded. And if God exists, if God is all powerful, or if God's all powerful, if God exists, God's all powerful, he's not all powerful, then God doesn't exist. So
The
that's like an
only
example.
presupposition you're making is, yeah, I mean that's a good argument, but the axiom is based on is believing that we don't have free will. So
Well,
if
free
we have
will is
free
a
will,
logical
then
impossibility as well. And it doesn't
okay,
matter
yeah.
why.
So
It doesn't matter why.
by
It
your
doesn't
worldview,
matter
your
why. Hey, let
argument
me
would
just say
hold
this
true.
real quick, real quick. It actually doesn't matter why God fails to have a personal relationship with us. It just means the whole point is he does fail. So it could be because free will is interfering. It's like, well, then God can't override free will. He's not all powerful. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah,
some
but
other
God
reason.
overriding free will is like God creating a square circle. You know, it's kind of like a
I
logical
think I think God
impossibility.
I think God giving us free will is like creating a square circle. I don't think God, if he tried his hardest, he could not create free will for us. That's like me trying to shit out of my eyes. No, actually
Okay, but
that's like
let's
logically
assume that free
possible.
will existed. Let's assume
It's
that
more
free will
possible for me
existed,
to
just
shit
for
out
the
of my
case of
eyes than for
argument.
God to be able to give us free will.
Fair enough, host. Let's assume that free will existed for the sake of argument. Would it be possible for a maximally great being, logically, to make a free will creature act against their free will?
I don't, well, it's hard to grant free will,
Just
man. Like
assuming free will exists.
I try, I just don't know what it would
Just try.
entail if I grant it. Like, what does free will entail if I grant it?
Free will would entail that that being would be able to reject a maximally superior creator. They would be
Whoa.
able to tell him, "Screw you, bugger
Oh
off."
shoot.
Wait, what do you mean by like reject? So like if he like grabbed me by the arm and pulled me into another room, I'd be able to like stop him. And
No.
can
Let's
I
say
only resist? Wait. Can I only resist um a maximally powerful, or if like somebody's like kind of powerful, like reasonably powerful, can I resist them? Like a regular person, like if it's a buff guy or a persuasive guy or a
so. If
threatening
you're
guy
free
came up,
will,
I would be able.
you can resist all beings, regardless of their power. You'll be able to resist an infinite number of beings, regardless of their power. But resistance is not only physical; it could be ideological as well. In such that, let's say, host, I think you're a nice guy. I disagree with you, but I think you're a nice guy. There are probably some people who don't think you're a nice guy. Now, there's nothing you could do to persuade those people against what they already believe about you. They already kind of resist you internally in terms of their psychology, their emotions. They think, oh, Lobes, because Lobes is not a Christian or Lobes does not believe in God, Lobes is an evil dude. And based on their presupposition of who you are, like there's nothing, no matter how kind you try to be or you try to be like polite or whatever, they're always gonna see you that way.
Yeah.
So you don't have like, even if you were maximally powerful, let's say like you were the most powerful being within this physical universe, you would not be able to force someone who sees you as a like evil person to see you as good.
Do you think that like if I understood everything about their brain down to the smallest subatomic detail, and I was all powerful at the same time, that I would be able to find a way to persuade them?
It depends on the person's temperament, really and truly, because
So
some
okay,
people
so
are more
what that would mean though, like if I knew literally everything, like everything that I could possibly do would fail, that means it's impossible. It's actually impossible for that person to enter a relationship with me as an all-powerful, all-knowing person because I can't think of a way to do it. That means it's literally impossible. And if I and
Yeah, because
it
it's
really
like
sucks
creating
if
a
I'm the
square
creator
circle.
of this person and like I'm gonna punish them for not loving me or something. Like then I would have created them like with an impossibility to do it. Like if I created my car to fly to the
Oh
moon,
no, I get
but
what you're
I just
saying. So
I
you're
made
saying
a
hell.
regular car and there's no possible way for me to configure it in such a way that it can fly to the moon. And then I created a car doomed for destruction, like on purpose.
No, 100%. I get what you're saying. So you're saying like hell becomes unfair because he's created a being who is incapable of choosing it. And I mean that makes sense, but that's depending on what your conception of hell is. So I like C.S.
It's
Lewis's
the main
proposition of what
issue.
hell
The main
is.
issue is like in contrast with he's pursuing this relationship. But if he's genuinely pursuing the relationship, he wouldn't create people that are literally incapable of choosing him.
Well, it depends on what he's trying to accomplish. You know, within engineering, you realize that every decision has a trade-off. So I think within reality, every decision has a trade-off as well. Depending on what the being is trying to accomplish, he would need to trade off certain things for other things. if he is trying to accomplish beings that are capable of resilience and the greatest moral choice, he might need to give them that ability to reject him. But
Okay.
you're not gonna have
So
your cake
God,
and eat it.
but if God is omniscient, like God has full power and full like ability to create this world rather than that world and give everybody free will in both cases. So he could create a world where based on the starting conditions, people would exist and maybe I exist and you exist and we make different decisions based on different priors that we would have versus this other world where we also exist. We would be exposed to different things because it would be different in some way, slightly or majorly. And so because God created this world rather than that world, and he can decide, I prefer the world where they use their free will to make these decisions over the world where they use their free will to make those decisions. I'm gonna select this one. Is there a possible world where everybody has free will and everybody enters a personal relationship with God under their own free will?
It's impossible. There's no world in which everyone would have free will and everyone would enter a
That means that
relationship with
God,
God.
okay, so that means that God is pursuing an impossible task, which makes God irrational.
Define rationality.
Okay, let me pull up a definition so I don't fuck it up. The quality of being guided by reason, meaning your thoughts, decisions, or actions are based on clear, logical thinking rather than emotion or impulse. But like, let me just ask you this: like, if I know that something is impossible, literally impossible, but I make a genuine attempt, like I genuinely pursue it, like not as just a joke or something. I genuinely pursue the thing that I know for a fact is impossible. Does that make me a rational person?
I think many a times we do things that we know are impossible and we still pursue them regardless. I don't think it necessarily makes us irrational. For example, you're having this conversation with people who believe. You know that the chances of you changing people's minds are probably very, very small.
That's
And
not
yet you don't.
analogous.
No, if someone's pursuing something that they know to be impossible, they are irrational. So you have this, like, the definition of rationality is pursuing something that you know to be at least 0.01% possible, and in that case, you're rational. Anything below that would be irrationality. So you have
Like,
to say
yeah.
that, yeah.
Do you know, like, we could use the shit out of my eyes example again. Like, how long? I know it's literally fucking impossible for me to shit out of my eyes. But if I'm genuinely trying to, despite knowing the fact that it's impossible, I'm not just making a joke, but like actually making the attempt every day of my life until I die, being like back to the drawing board. Like what, like how, like that does not make any sense. That what is my reason for making this attempt? I have no reason to make the attempt because I know I'll fail every time.
Would you say nihilism is rational?
I think so. But that doesn't answer the question.
No, because I believe that we all have there's things that we strive to believe in or we strive to accomplish that we might not necessarily see as possible, and yet we still strive to do it. So I don't. Maybe I'm wrong in my axiom. Maybe the axiom is not that God is trying to pursue a relationship with each and every one of us. But I don't think that him trying, even though knowing that he would fail, is irrational. Because I feel like it's just like certain things we try to do. For example, trying to solve what's that mathematical problem called?
You don't need to worry about it.
The
I haven't heard
Riemann
of it.
equation. Trying to solve the Riemann equation, trying to find a solution to it. People have been trying for hundreds of years and haven't
AI
found
probably
a
already
solution
figured
to
it out, to be honest.
Nah, I don't think AI can solve
I mean, they're
mathematical
dude,
problems.
like
It's limited.
AI has like recently solved multiple centuries old math problems. That might be one of them.
Has it?
Yo, yeah, look it up,
That's
dude. It's
crazy.
Yeah.
fucking insane. But hey, man,
That's
I've been
insane.
talking to you for about a half an hour. I do want to explore other topics with you. I want to talk to you
Yeah,
about
thank you
free
for your
will,
time,
but
man. I
definitely come
appreciate
back
it.
on Thursday. We can talk about free will or anything else. I just
100%.
have a few other people requesting. I want to get to them.
Thank you, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. I
Have a
appreciate it.
good
And thank
night.
you, Dylan. I appreciate
Yeah.
All right, have a good night. Bye.
Yeah. So, Dylan, we are getting some good faith people. I think the guy before him was a little
Yeah.
too good faith, where he was like almost halfway deconstructed, but he was hanging on to something. And the
Yeah.
unknown flows, um, I do think that he was being a little bit irrational there, but maybe he didn't see it. I think so. Unknown flows. If you're still
Yeah.
listening, like really think about like what we talked about, because if you arrived at something illogical during our conversation, you might not have realized it, or maybe you realized it and it didn't feel right to say so in front of everybody. But like definitely in your own spare time, maybe while you're going to sleep or something, just think about it. Think about the illogical entailments of what we discussed, and come back to me. That was a fun conversation. Let's bring up. I don't know what order. I thought it was top to bottom, but then I saw like a new person pop up at the top a while ago, and so I think it might be bottom to top. Let's try. Their name is cut off here. Well, I don't like how they updated this. Wait, it's citizenzion.com. Is that it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna just call you Citizen if that's cool. Are you at least 18?
Yeah, I'm over 18.
Do you believe in God?
Yeah, 100%.
Which one?
The God of the Bible.
All right. Well, thanks for answering those questions. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm against what you say when you say that God is evil. I don't share the sentiment.
Sure.
I feel
Well,
like it's yeah.
sure. Well, I mean, how do you feel about the problem of evil and suffering?
The problem of what?
Of evil and suffering. Like, it's usually just called the problem of evil, but I just want to specify because, like, natural disasters and diseases and stuff that aren't necessarily evil are still devastating and all good, all powerful, all knowing God. Allowing that to happen doesn't make any logical sense to me. So, how do you feel about the problem of evil?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that we have to live in a world where there's evil and suffering, but you have to understand where these things come from, where these things originate from. Okay. According to the scriptures, evil and suffering started entering the world when Adam and Eve sinned against God. That's when the fall of man happened, and then evil got introduced into the world. Now we are living in an evil world because of that sin that happened in the garden. So yeah, that's why I say you have to understand where it originates from.
Okay, so why do you think that, like, because of the fall of man, God made the sun give people cancer?
Yeah, I mean, you can't say it's God who made the sun give people
Well,
cancer.
didn't God make the sun?
Yes, he did.
Well, didn't he make it, like, deliberately, or is there, like, a defect in it? Like, he's a shitty designer or something?
Yeah, hence I said, right, when man fell, man became inferior, if I will say, to nature, if I would say. Because right now, if a man dives into an ocean and you don't have that thing to cover yourself, you're gonna suffocate, right? Man was not meant to live like that.
I mean, we don't, like, is your interpretation that, like, before the fall we had gills or something? Because, like, I think that we would have drowned before the fall anyway. In fact, here's actually a really good point. God gave us the breath of life, right? This argument is called Daniel's bad breath, by the way. God gave us the breath of life. God gave Adam the breath of life. Before Adam even knew he was alive, he had this breath of life, right? It's the first thing that he did. Now, God is making, with that decision, He's making it possible for Adam to potentially die in a myriad of ways that would otherwise have never been possible. Like you can't suffocate something that doesn't need to breathe in order to live. But because breathing is necessary, now he can drown. Now he can like asphyxiate, right? And now all of us have that problem. It's like a built-in defect right from the jump. Why would God do something so evil?
Hence I say it, right? All these things, they originate from the disobedience of man, right? Because man was
No.
created to.
No, the disobedience of man came after man did stuff. God gave us the breath of life before Adam did anything. And giving us the breath of life was obviously evil. He should have just given us life without the breath. The breath is a liability.
Yeah, but that breath of life is meant to. It's not like it was a breath of life that would suffocate the person, like it is suffocating right now a person when he enters a place where there's no air and things like this is what I mean, right?
Yeah, do you think that
When
before they ate of the tree or ate of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, that if a plastic bag was wrapped around Adam's head and pulled with a zip tie, that he would just live? Like he wouldn't need to breathe?
come again, I didn't get that.
Let's say Eve found like a plastic bag that traveled back in time and some zip ties. And she didn't know good from evil, so she was just experimenting, being like, can we really not die? And she like wrapped it around Adam's head and put the zip tie around his neck and then pulled it really tight so that there was no airflow at all. And he's like trying to breathe, but there's no air going in or out. Would Adam just live, or does Adam need to breathe in order to live?
Yeah, I say that Adam would still live. There wouldn't be nothing
Whoa.
that kills Adam.
So like,
Because
so then God gave us, do you think that Adam had lungs? Because he's breathing, right?
yeah, of course he had lungs.
But then what's the purpose of
Yeah,
breathing?
so you gotta understand that God's plan when He created man, God created man to be eternal. Okay, that's why even right now in the Christian Bible there is eternal life. We believe in eternal life. Today, people they aren't alive because of the fall of man. Okay, Adam and Eve, God gave them. God said that have dominion over the earth, right? Have dominion over the fish and every. They had dominion over everything. There was nothing that could unalive Adam before the fall, even if there was a plastic wrapped around him.
So
Because
what
God's
if
plan of
like
man was to be eternal.
what if a huge rock fell on him, liquefied him? Would he like still be living like Deadpool or something?
He wouldn't die. There was nothing that was gonna kill Adam.
Holy
Nothing at
Wolverine.
all.
That's pretty base, dude. Like a rock falling on him, reducing him to liquid, him not being able to breathe, that won't kill him. But eating some fruit that he's like, I guess, allergic to or something, or no, it's not even he's allergic. It's just off limits. Now suddenly, so many things could kill us.
Yeah, because men disobeyed,
It
right?
seems
When you
like God would have
disobey,
given us these lungs because he intended for them to be necessary for us to live later. He put the tree in the middle of the garden and made the fruit beautiful to the sight in order to tempt people, knowing that it would, of course, work. And just in case, he put the serpent in there to tempt them to make sure they ate it. They already had the lungs, so those things kicked into gear once they, I guess in your view, once they ate of the fruit. But it's like pre-packaged. It's like they unlocked the DLC, now you can die. You already had the stuff. They already had the hardware. Now we're just turning that shit on. Now these lungs can kill you.
yeah, because when no, look, man. If Adam and Eve had listened to God, right, humanity wouldn't be in the situation that it is in right now, which is evident even today. People who don't listen to God, right? That is why the world is where it is, because people disobey God. You understand? If people followed God and obeyed God, the world would be a better
Okay.
place. I tell you that.
Okay, so people disobeyed God, and God decided that if people disobey me, what needs to happen is that now there's going to be cancer. Like, does that make any sense? Like, he could have said, like, there's going to be some sin going on, but no cancer. But he was like, I'm going to throw in the cancer. Why is he throwing in the cancer?
Yeah, I mean, cancer, you gotta understand, it's something that came with sin when men fell, right?
I
Well,
heard you say that, but like I'm asking,
uh,
Why
why is
not
this thing
less
happening?
suffering than
It
what we see?
also like, by the way, this is obviously not compelling. I'm doing an internal critique, or I'm trying to, but like we obviously know this isn't true because dinosaur bones have been found with cancer on them. We found cancerous dinosaur bones that are millions of years old, so we know that obviously this isn't true. But like if I'm doing the internal critique, like why is God throwing in the cancer? Like, why is it not just people now understand what good and evil is, and so sometimes they don't do things right? You know what?
yeah,
Actually, I think that doesn't even make sense. Like, if they know if they know the difference now of the knowledge of good and evil, it seems like they would do things right more often. But if they don't know, then they're going to be making mistakes left and right. You know, like somebody will like kill a kid and be like, "Huh." Anyways, and nobody would give a shit because nobody would know that it's wrong. And then somebody else does it. Nobody learns because they don't have the knowledge of good and evil. Oh wait, but before they did that, kids were like they couldn't die.
Unless they like weren't able to make mistakes before that because they were a perfect creation, but then you wouldn't be able to eat the fruit because that would be a mistake.
Let me ask him, like, do you think that when he created Adam and Eve, they were a perfect creation?
of course,
Do you think that
yes, they were like God.
do you think a creation that is subject to failure, like something that can fail, is perfect?
Um, okay, something that can fail is perfect. No, I don't think something that can
Yeah.
fail is
Well,
perfect.
Adam and Eve could fail, so they couldn't have been perfect because they did fail. It was proven when they did, right? So obviously they weren't perfect. So God created in his perfection, he created something imperfect. In your view.
I, look, I wouldn't say it's something imperfect, but I would say that God He created a perfect being and gave that perfect being an instruction. What made that perfect being to be imperfect is when that perfect being stopped listening to God and listened to the serpent. That's what made that perfect being to be imperfect. If the
Okay.
perfect being had stayed with God's instruction, the perfect being would have remained perfect. And you spoke something about cancer, right? We all agree that cancer is something evil, okay? And God is a good God according to the scriptures. So God wouldn't bring something like cancer. So it's clear that cancer did not come with God. It's something that comes with the devil, actually.
Mm. Okay, let me do this. I don't. I'm gonna redo this. Okay, we'll do. Whoops. One. Um. A. Okay. A perfect creation cannot fail. You agreed with that, right?
Yes.
Okay. This one's true as well, correct?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm missing a premise here. Oh, whatever. Adam and Eve. God created Adam and Eve.
Is it just that God created Adam and Eve perfectly? Is that what you're missing?
I think that's the one that I erased and I shouldn't have. let's just do this. Boom. Yeah. Combining, yeah, that's way clearer than what I was originally going to do. Thank you for saying it that way. Okay,
Oh
okay.
yeah.
You agree with the third premise?
Yeah, I do agree.
Yeah. Okay. So then we just have, what would even be the conclusion here? Like there's an absurdity. My PFP would be placed in the sea. Let me see here. So a perfect creation cannot fail. God created Adam and Eve perfectly. Adam and Eve failed. There's a contradiction there, right?
I mean, okay, let me ask you this question. Why did Adam and Eve fail?
I don't know. Well, that's the thing that you believe in. Why do you think they failed?
As I say, because they chose not to obey God.
Right.
That's why
But
they
the
failed.
thing is though,
Just
they can't choose to disobey God because that would be a failure. And they can't fail because they're perfect.
okay. You are saying that they cannot choose to obey God. Is that what you're saying?
Because that would be a failure, right?
No. Are you saying that they couldn't choose to not obey God? Is that what you're saying? I'm trying to understand that.
I'm saying that because I think that would be considered a failure.
Also, in other words, are you saying that Adam and Eve did not have a choice when they were created?
Oh,
He's
well,
saying that if you're defining Adam and Eve as a perfect creation, you're saying that by definition they cannot choose to sin, which would be imperfect.
right. They're perfect. So they cannot make any mistake. They cannot fail. There's no if you let them live in the Garden of Eden for an infinite number of years, they would never fail. And they would never eat of the tree because that would mean that they could fail. And if they can fail, they're not perfect.
Yeah, but here's the other thing again.
Yeah, but
God created Adam and Eve perfect, but also God
also not
created Adam
perfect.
and no. God created Adam and Eve to be independent choice makers or decision makers. Do you agree with that? They had
No.
like what?
Well, free will can't circumvent this contradiction.
I think that's the conclusion. That's definitely the conclusion. Adam and Eve are perfect and not perfect.
Right.
I like this one. I'm gonna leave it up here.
Yeah, but I mean, you gotta come to the conclusion of what made them imperfect. Because if you're
God.
gonna dismiss that, God
God would
made
have
them
been the one.
imperfect.
Yeah, God made it so that it was possible for them to fail. So God's the one that made it imperfect.
How?
By making it possible for them to fail.
Yeah, can you explain by making it possible for them to fail? How?
Yeah,
Explain
so
further.
I guess you would probably say it's free will, right?
No, I say it's disobedience.
Wait, do you believe in free will? Because if it's not free will, then God decided they would be disobedient. Which means like they would be perfect. They'd be following God's plan of like being. Then I'm gonna have them be disobedient. Then I'm gonna punish them for being disobedient. Then I'm gonna send my son and kill him because that's the only way I can forgive because I'm cold and disgusting. And then if they like, then some of them I'll decide some of them will accept it, and I'll decide that some of them won't. Then everything they do, every decision. So like, do you believe in free will or do you believe in like determinism?
Yeah, look, I believe in free will. Okay,
Right. Yeah. So then they wouldn't
so
be perfect because they have free will. That makes them imperfect.
oh my goodness. So you are not telling me that when God creates his creatures, he creates them with no free will. Is that what you're saying?
I don't. Well, okay. My view is that it's logically impossible for libertarian free will to exist. So God cannot grant anybody free will. But if you're saying that God gives them free will, and this is the reason why they failed, then where God fucked up was giving them free will. Like he wouldn't have made them perfect by giving them free will, because now once they have free will, they can fail. If they don't have free will and they do what's considered a failure, it's actually according to plan, if God is all knowing.
Yeah, but you have to understand that God, he wants you to make a decision to worship him. He doesn't want you to be a robot. I feel like if you're gonna create someone, right, as God created human beings, and you're gonna force them to follow you, and you're gonna force them to be these automatic human beings that have no choice to make, then that is not a loving God.
So
That is
the
not a
problem
loving
is,
God.
though, that God is literally incapable. I guess we'll do the free will thing. God is literally incapable of giving people free will. Like, if God wants to give us free wills to make us loving, so he's not forcing or whatever, he does not have that power. It is logically impossible. I can explain. I'm
But
happy
we
to
have,
explain because I love this topic.
yeah, okay, explain. I want to hear that.
So there's a true dichotomy. Either we live in a deterministic universe, and this is what I'm about to say here is my position, okay? So either we live in a deterministic universe, or we live in an indeterministic universe. Now, in a deterministic universe, this is what I hold to. It's just a chain of cause and effect. One thing happens because something else caused it, and that's it. Like you don't have free will because you are not in control of the causal chain, right? Like you are just the inevitable result of all of the events that preceded you. So you can only do the thing that you are always determined to do. That's what I think. Then if it's an indeterministic universe, that means that somewhere along the causal chain, you've got something that is random. Because if it's not cause and effect, really the only other option is not cause and effect, which is randomness. You either have something happening for no reason, something for nothing, or you've got something producing, or like a cause that causes an effect that is not specific. You don't know what you're going to get. It could be like a random thing. Now, since you can't control the causal chain or the priors leading up to your decisions in a deterministic universe, you don't have free will. You also aren't in control of the random aspects of the indeterministic universe. If you were in control of those, they would not be random. So either in a deterministic universe you don't have free will, or in an indeterministic universe you also don't have free will. It's logically impossible.
Okay, so when you talk about the indeterminate universe, that you don't have free will, are you talking about things like rain, earthquakes that you cannot control,
I'm talking
things like
about
that?
I'm talking about everything in the causal chain. Like, okay, here's an example. You've heard people say, if I were you, I'd have done this, and like the response is like, of course you wouldn't have. If you were me, you would have been born to the same parents as me. You would have heard all of the same words in the same order by the same people meaning the same things as me. You would have gone to the same school. You would have felt the same ways. You would have thought the same thoughts. You would have heard the same music, been moved by the same things. You would have thought in the same way. You would have had the exact same neurons. The neurons would have had the exact same interactions. And when you weighed up all of that, you would have made the exact same decisions as I did because you would have had the exact same thoughts and the exact same values. You wouldn't have done, any different because the causal chain, the determining factors in the causal chain make it necessary that you always do only what your priors demand you do.
Yeah. Okay. But if someone says that if I were you, I would have done things this way, right? Someone is saying that usually from a place of them, right?
Well, they're
Putting
critiquing your action, but I'm saying that in a
no,
literal
no, no.
sense, it's not true.
No, wait. Can you hear what I'm saying? So these people are putting themselves in your situation using their logic and mindset,
I
right?
understand that's what they're
That's
doing.
yeah,
Yeah, I
that's what
understand
they are
that. I
saying.
understand. I understand that's what they're doing. I'm speaking about if that statement were literally true. It's not literally true. That's like my example of the causal chain. Like when you ask me, are you talking about earthquakes and stuff? And you just so just to make it clear what I mean, all of your priors, the sum total of all of your experiences makes you who you are, and your actions are determined by that.
Yeah, I mean, you know what, man? That is a subjective view, but what I would say is that if you're gonna say that people don't have free will, which is people don't have a choice, then why do we have people who are not following God, even if it's God's will for everyone to follow Him today?
Well,
Lobes, can
yeah,
I jump in
yeah.
to explain like what your position might look like to like in another way? Like, so basically, correct me if I'm wrong, under a deterministic view, it would be you believe that everything that we do, like every decision that we make, even though it technically seems like you're deciding that for yourself, you're still influenced by a seemingly to you infinite amount of causation that leads up to that decision. So like anywhere you've ever been, any conversation you've ever had, all of that technically leads up to that, and you don't even quite realize it because your brain is so massive that you have like subconscious things like that. So it's like we have the illusion of free will, but under a deterministic view, true free will isn't compatible with the cause and effect that we see in the universe.
Right. And not only for just that, like, because you don't know what you're ultimately going to do, you perceive these options. Like, if the future is determined, there's only ever one thing you're actually going to do. So if God knows the future, you're only going to do whatever he thinks whatever he knows you're going to do. Under B theory of time, block universe, the future is set. You're destined to follow that trail.
Okay,
I just thought of the word of El
wait,
Dorado when I said that.
wait.
But yeah, like because
So,
you have these options before you don't know which one you're going to pick. You think that you have 1 trillion doors to choose from, but God knows you're going to choose door number 69 because it's nice. And that means it's literally impossible for you to choose any other door. You have one option. You can choose between one or one.
Wait,
You just see a
wait,
trillion doors, but there's only actually
right.
the one. You have
Wait,
one decision you can
wait.
make.
So look, God knows everything. I don't disagree with that, right? But you wanna tell me that people who became the worst people in history, right? People who became rapists, people who are in prison right now, serial unalivers. It was God's destiny for them. You wanna tell me that
Yeah,
is
that logically
that is like that?
follows. That's like the
It has
problem.
to
No,
be.
that
That's
is
like the
not
problem of
true. That
evil.
is not true.
That's like the problem of evil when I was talking, because it doesn't make sense that he would allow it, or because there's a possible universe where God creates people and they just never do anything wrong, or at least never anything that heinous. And he was like, I could make that one where everything's great and perfect and everybody's happy and there's no rape and there's no death and there's only a few minor inconveniences, some discomforts, but it's for growth. And I could make that one. But this one over here with the Holocaust, I really think I should make that one
No,
instead.
bruh.
That's what God did.
Bruh. Okay,
Well,
okay. Then in that case, that means that God controls the actions of human beings.
That's literally what I've been saying this entire time.
Oh, okay.
right.
So right now, you are an unbeliever. Is God controlling your actions right now to say the things that
Um,
you are saying?
if I'm doing an internal critique, yes, but I don't believe in God.
Oh my word.
Like, I don't think there's anybody controlling
Damn.
it. But if God existed and God was defined as an
You're contradicting
all-knowing,
yourself.
all-powerful prime mover, then yeah, absolutely, he would be controlling everything.
You are contradicting yourself. You say that God controls the actions of human beings, and you say that you are not a believer in God. What is
I
it?
literally just explained the distinction in those two views. I stepped into the internal critique, and then I gave you my view, my actual view. Then I stepped into the internal critique. If God is real, then it would follow, based on what we know about the world, that he would be controlling everything, or even just how God's defined. I don't even know if we need to look at the world, to be honest. Like, Yeah, like I don't believe in God. I still believe
Okay,
that everything's
right.
determined, but if everything is caused by God, he's all powerful and all knowing, then he would obviously be the reason why everything's determined. He would be what's determining it.
Okay, right now I'm a Christian, right? Right now, let me say I decide to go outside and analyze somebody. Or did God control my actions?
If God is defined how the way that we've been talking about, then yeah, he determined that you would do that.
Oh my word.
Do you
Oh
not
man.
understand how this follows?
Oh no, man.
I'm not trying to be facetious. I want to make sure that you understand how we get to this conclusion.
No, but okay, how do we get to the conclusion?
Okay. So, I don't know how to explain it without just repeating myself, but I'll try. God can make any number of possible worlds. He's omnipotent. God knows everything. He's omniscient. He knows the ramifications of every world he begins, whether he intervenes or not. Once he begins the causal chain, it doesn't make any difference if he knows that if I start universe number 1, I will eventually get this result in the end, and all of these details in between will follow as such. Or universe 2, the same thing, a little bit different, but you've got every possible world that you could think of at his disposal. He created this one out of all of the possible worlds. There's a possible world where you do this. There's a possible world where you do that. There's a possible world where the this and that are both good. There's a possible world where the this and that are the most evil thing you could conceive of. All of these things are possible worlds where God can create to make your priors so that you will do X, Y, or Z, right? He decided to make this world. That means that out of all the options, out of all the possibilities, he wanted this world to exist, the one where we are making these decisions. So anytime you see somebody make a decision, just know that God chose to make the world where they would use their free will to make that decision instead of the world where they don't make that decision. Does that make sense?
And yeah, look, I hear what you're saying. But I don't agree with it because also the world is God created the world, but the world is the way it is, not the way God wants. The world is the way it is because of the human who disobeys God. That's why, listen to this. That's why God even has a plan for human beings. He's saying that there is an eternal life, there is a better world for us where we will live, where there will be no, where there will be no evil, right? Where evil will not exist. All these things that you are mentioning will not exist because this world is already imperfect because of the disobedience of man.
Yeah,
That's why the world is the way it is.
then God's not all powerful.
Right.
God is not all powerful. Why are you saying that?
Because if it needed to be this way, because like this is the only way for him to make evil not exist, then he's not all powerful. Because I can conceive of a way where God could just create a universe where there's no evil. Easy.
Also, you would expect God to just wipe away evil like that.
No, just never have it in the first place. Like
But do
God
you know
sits
why
here and
evil
he's
came?
like,
We
I'm going to
spoke
create
about
a
this.
universe. There's going to be evil. There could be evil. Should I make it so that that's possible? Or should I make it so that it's not possible? And he's like, oh, there's definitely got to be some evil. The evil's good. I'm going to make the universe where people do evil.
But we spoke about this, where evil originates from. But
From
it seems
God,
like
yes.
it originates from God.
Yeah.
Like, why couldn't God make a universe where the only punishment for sinning is like you get a headache for like 3 hours? So if like if you
Yeah.
tell a lie, you get a headache, and that's it. Like everything else is cool. Like we have like a bunch of food and a bunch of water. Like why
And
is there so
yeah.
much suffering?
And nobody is attracted to kids in this universe. Like it just doesn't
Right.
happen, you know. But yeah, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. Isaiah 45:7. One more time, that was I make peace and create evil. And obviously we would have concluded that we already concluded this without the scripture, but the Bible agrees. The Bible says that God creates evil.
Yeah, I mean, God created the devil. Okay, He created the devil,
Yeah. He was like, this
and
guy's
the
gonna be
devil.
super evil. Should I create him? Absolutely, I should. What's the worst thing he's gonna do? Well, definitely making him now. Should I create Hitler? I gotta spice it up sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, God didn't
Yeah,
need to
but
create these people.
yeah, I mean, bruh, you gotta understand that the God created the devil, and the devil happened to be casted down on the earth,
Is it good
right?
that God
But
created the devil?
God created the devil with good intentions.
God is okay. So he
Yes,
intended. What did he intend when he created the devil? Did he intend for him to
to be
become
an
evil?
angel that worships him. No, an angel that worships him.
That means
But
that
the
something
devil chose
happened.
to.
That means God attempted to do something that failed. That means God's a failure, which means he's not all powerful.
Oh my goodness.
I
God
don't know how you
creates.
don't follow the logic, man.
No, bruh, that logic doesn't make sense because
What's the
you
P and
you are
not P,
saying that.
man?
Yeah, I mean, bruh, you are saying that God creates. You are expecting God to create His creatures without free will, or without choice, right? Even the devil had a choice. Even the angels have a
Um,
choice.
I've already explained multiple times how free will is impossible. But hey, man, I've had you up here for over
Yeah,
half an hour.
yeah,
I'm gonna go
bro.
ahead and move on. Let me see. There's one other person here.
Hello, Rapananya. Hello.
Hey, Aegis, good to see you again. What's up?
Yeah, I'm interested in talking about problem of evil. You guys have like a really substantive discussion previously, but there are some points that where I disagree with the previous speaker
I would hope so.
that I want to like.
This guy didn't. He couldn't track the logical conclusions we were coming to. I think that they're like obvious, glaringly obvious. Okay, so go ahead, man. You can pick it up where we left off because I was enjoying the topic. It just was frustrating he wasn't tracking the points. You know, it was just like every point we made whizzing over his head. You followed it, right? Like I was making sense at least, wasn't I?
Uh,
Even if you disagree, like
you
was I like making some logical sense there?
There are our connection issues.
What? What'd you say? Are you there?
Me? Sorry.
Is it his connection or mine? Chat.
I think it is.
Yeah, you sound fine, Dylan. Aegis, you got
Yeah.
some kind of bad connection. I mean, switch to Wi-Fi or switch off of Wi-Fi or try something. We're having a hard time hearing you.
Is it clear now?
I think so. Let's find out. So yeah, you're welcome to continue where our last guest left off. I'm thrilled and relieved, and yeah, I think I expected you to like be like disagreeing with a lot of what he was saying. I think he was contradicting himself. I think that he didn't like the conclusions we came to, though I think they were logical.
So
What do you want to say?
first of all, I don't think that perfect creation is a defensible term. I think it's a contradiction. The moment you say that something is created, then by definition it cannot be perfect. It can only be perfect in participation or in proximity with God.
Okay, so you would
So
say that like God,
Adam's perfection cannot come from itself.
right? So you would say that like
Yeah,
God cannot create perfect things. He doesn't have the power to do that.
God can make perfect things, only if he choose to constantly be in proximity of that creation.
Do you believe
Does
God's
that make sense to
do
you?
you believe that God's omnipresent?
Yeah, God is omnipresent, but
So then he's always
not
in
by
proximity
his.
with his creation.
So he, his presence, yes, but not his not his like goodness or like what is it like blessing, you know.
Well,
So
so that sounds to me
God
like
always
when I
have to
like
like
let me see
constantly
if like maybe see if I can make
illuminate
it.
his creation
I just want to make
with
sure
his
that I
power,
make sense of what you said.
without
So
like proximity.
he's present, but like his goodness might not be present, or his favor might not be present. Kind of like if you go to a family, like if I were to go to a family function, but I'm like grumpy, so that my goodness and my favor is not there, but I'm still there. Is it like God's grumpy in certain areas, and then he's like
No,
in a
here.
good mood, like? Because you said proximity, like that's like you didn't say. Are you saying it has to be in proximity to his goodness? Because goodness isn't like in a physical location. There's a major delay, by the way.
I'm not saying about like when I say proximity, I'm using the word like not literally but analogously, right? Like for example, let's say the sun. The sun illuminates light from itself, right? Now you can agree that as long as you are like in the solar system, the sun is there and you can observe the sun from each planet, right? But closer planet gets more light than farther planet. But the sun is still there in each and every planet.
Right. Well, the sun's not omnipresent. Like if the sun were omnipresent, then like we'd be in the sun, and the sun would be in us.
Yeah, but the light though, the effect of the light, every planet in the solar system receives the light from the sun.
It just feels like it's
That's how
disanalogous because the sun in your
that's how you
example
get like
is coming from a fixed point, whereas
the
God
sun.
being omnipresent wouldn't come from any fixed point, right? He would be omnipresent. So the source would be ubiquitous everywhere. But the sun's not ubiquitous everywhere. I think that's kind of where your example is not quite analogous.
Yeah, God is everywhere in every place at once. You can still hear me, right?
I can hear you. There's just a delay. So like
God
I'll
is God
yeah,
is
like I'll talk
everywhere in
and then I
every
think
place
several
at
seconds
once.
later you'll get it, and several seconds later I'll hear your response.
Okay. So God is everywhere in every place at once, but His essence is not fully experienced in this world. It's not fully there, you know. It's only like partially there from our perspective.
Isn't that not omnipresence then?
Maybe he's like saying that like
It
God
is still
can
it is still omnipresent because God is
like what is his essence? Like if his essence is not him, then like what even is that?
well, his essence is Him, but His essence is also like His energies.
Are his energy so God is his essence and his essence is his energies, so God is his energies. You're Catholic, right? Or something like that? Are you
Yes.
Orthodox?
Yeah, I'm Catholic.
Yeah,
No,
divine
not really Catholic.
simplicity.
I'm proud.
Wait, what you say? What did you say?
I'm proud.
You're Protestant?
Protestant.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. It sounds like you're talking about divine simplicity, which is like largely a Catholic idea. Protestants, I think, they hold to it too sometimes. but I think it's Catholic doctrine. Anyway, yeah, like so if he is his essence and his essence are his energies, what exactly is in this material world that's everywhere? That's like not his whole self or whatever.
Well, his knowledge is everywhere at once. His will is everywhere at once. You know,
Maybe God is space time.
God is
Wait.
God is omnipresent that
Wait a
way.
minute. His will is
By his
everywhere.
spirit
Aegis, I just have a
and
really
his
important
will.
question. His will is everywhere at once. Is his will good?
Always good because it is
Then
like the source of
then
good.
God's goodness is everywhere at once because his will is everywhere at once and his will is good. So that we can't be separated from God's goodness because God's goodness is
Yes,
everywhere at once.
yes, yes. But God can choose whether or not he partially illuminates his goodness or fully illuminates his goodness. You get what I'm saying, right?
What does that mean? Can you give me an
So
example of
his
what that looks
goodness, as
like?
long as there is existence, it's a matter of scale. It's a matter of scale. So as long as there is like existence, his goodness is technically still there. But there are scales, right? So you can say that there are certain things that has more goodness of God compared to other things.
I'm thinking of this as like a field, like like a quantum field, where it's like you're almost thinking of like God's goodness as like like an excitation at some parts of reality, where like you see goodness, but then wherever there's evil, there is no God there.
It's not
But
excited,
then,
right?
like, I don't understand. Like, what's your point with
God
that,
is
though?
God where there is evil, God is technically still there, but it's not fully. It's not the will of illuminating goodness. It's not fully there.
Okay, let me see if I can
Ano,
reel
Dylan?
it back. So, just to kind of connect it to the beginning, we're talking about the problem of evil, talking about, can God create? You said that God, can create imperfect things. He just takes his
No, like
goodness away or something
imperfect.
from that area, or he diminishes, he turns the dial down
Yes.
from 11 to 1 or whatever. So there's like a little bit of God's goodness there, but not a whole lot. So that would just mean that like God intentionally like took his goodness away,
Hello.
knowing the
Kanan
results
bagi itu.
of failure that would ensue once he did that, of making like all the calamity and destruction and evil and rape and stuff God's fault, his deliberate fault.
No, not really, because here's the thing though, like anything that is other than God, it is technically naturally evil by its nature. But God can illuminate some or all of his goodness to this creation in order to, like get rid of this evil. Think of like the light analogy, right? When there is shadow, there is like darkness there, but the darkness is not from the light. The darkness is already there before the light is there,
If everything
right?
is evil except for God, and God's trying to get rid of all evil, then God just wants only him to exist. It wouldn't make any sense for him to create anything at all that isn't himself, because it wouldn't be good. In order to get rid of the evil, he has to get rid of everything other than himself.
Not getting rid of everything other than himself. He has to illuminate everything other than himself, so that the thing that is in the beginning not good become good.
Can
You
God
know,
illuminate everything?
God can illuminate everything,
And what
but the
and
moment
what
the
stops him
moment
from
you
illuminating everything?
free will.
Free will doesn't exist.
I'm a Catholic, so yeah. So there is like three worlds, right? The garden, where God constantly illuminates everything with his goodness. This world where everything is in gradation. There are some aspect that is like illuminated by God's goodness, and
Are
there
you
are
able to
things
go
that are
like
like
into a closet or something, or like in your car, or because it sounds like you're at like like a quinceañera or something. There's a lot
Okay,
of noise.
okay. Perhaps I will join later again.
All right,
That's
man.
better already.
It does sound like you stepped into a better place.
Okay.
We'll see how this goes. I don't know where you walked into. It sounds more private
Oh
though.
man.
Oh, he left.
Dang.
It like immediately sounded better.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh shit. Well, let me check on the requests here. I don't think there's anybody. Yeah, nobody's requesting. So hey, if you wanted to come up and talk to me and Dylan, then request, and I'll just bring you straight up because there's no line.
Henry should come up. He's in the comments. He's like talking about all kinds of standards of good. I want to hear that.
Ooh, I don't know. That topic's kind of tedious to me. It feels like whenever we talk
Yeah.
about like what goodness is and how like atheists can't justify morality, it just feels like a dodge. You know what I mean? It feels like
Yeah.
they don't want to, because that's the only thing. Like they have to distract. Because I'm just gonna point out that you can't justify your morality. That like I'm not gonna answer any questions like, is it good to kill babies? I'm not gonna answer that question because then I'll have to say yes, and then you'll point out that
Yeah,
God
it's
kills
like
babies and commands people to kill babies. Then I'll be uh stuck, right?
yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, it's just shit like that. Like they just have to point the finger.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's just messy.
yeah, like I'm not gonna tell you what mine is because then you'll use mine against me. And I just wanted to show that you don't have a justification. It's like, dude, like, what is it? Maybe we can talk about it. I mean, there's no guess, so I mean, I don't mind it. It's just like, it's just such an obvious, like, running away with your tail between your legs, but like you're firing while you're running away. Like you're acting like you're on the offense, but you clearly don't have anything. It feels like that's the tactic. Um, what's your position? I know that there's a lot of atheists that are becoming more sympathetic to objective moral realism. I've always said I'm an anti-realist. I think I still am, and I understand like the Gorthian arguments and everything. I love them. I'm flirting with the realism, but I think I'm more of like a constructivist as of late, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know. I haven't really done a whole lot of argument, like looking at argumentation for morality, like all the views necessarily. I looked a little bit, like I kind of just have looked into like objective versus subjective morality, and like um I guess to me it's almost like uh it's hard for me to even approach morality in general, like defining it, because I feel like it's a lot of like just semantics where it's like, you know,
Yeah.
like I can't objectively like say that certain things are wrong, but like that's because I don't like necessarily hold to like being able to say it's objectively wrong, even though you can reach a position where you say this is wrong about something, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, like yeah, because I think you and I probably were in the same boat where we believed in God, and so whatever God said was just objectively good. That's it. No need to actually
Mhm.
use any thinking. Just like hear that and parrot that, bark that back, and pretend like it makes sense. But if you don't believe in God, it's not like morality just goes away. We still use morality. You know, we still feel the way
Right.
we do about things, and we still have opinions and stuff. It's like, well, that's just your opinion. It's like, is that all I've got? I mean, it's really important to me. It's really important to everybody. Like maybe it's not such a bad position to have. Like if we have these opinions, and really then we're just looking for explanations. Why do we feel the way that we do about things? I think that explaining where it comes from is like more prudent than talking about justification, because I think a justification is
Yeah.
really it only really makes sense with once you already have a framework. Like you're justified in doing X under these parameters, and these parameters are set by our goals, and those goals are set by our values and our priors and stuff. Like I feel like arguing whether or not it's objective or subjective is just like entirely missing the point because we
Exactly,
already
right.
understand what each other mean in common talk. Like this is good, this is bad. I wouldn't do that if I were you. We should put this person in prison. We all agree on this moral stuff until it comes to like once we start looking at God, then it's like, whoa, hey now, you
Uh-huh.
don't even know what good is. You don't know what bad what bad is.
Yeah.
If a dude came in and like murdered your whole entire family in front of you, but you don't believe in God, what I gotta check? I gotta no, wait, but I do believe in God. What I gotta check? Like, hang on, should I feel bad about this? Is this bad? Let me
Right.
open the Bible. What if somebody is like, what if somebody you watch somebody buy a slave right in front of you? It's like, let me check the Bible. Oh, that one's actually
Yeah.
okay. We can do that, right? Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah,
And
like if it's under these specific
yeah.
conditions, I think it's
It's
okay.
like, wait a minute, are they from another place? All right,
Right.
it's okay then. It's okay then. They're not an
Yeah.
Israelite, right? Yeah, Israelites get a pass. They can't be. All right. Anyway, okay, we got Andy. Hi, Andy. Are you at least 18?
Yes, how are you?
I'm great, dude. Thanks for asking. I hope you're well as well. Well as well felt wrong coming out of my mouth, but I think it's right. So, are you a Christian? Or are you another believer in God of some kind?
I believe in God, sir, but I've entered this life because I see
Sure.
your topic there says God is evil, Satan is better, neither are real.
Yeah.
I'm Christian, bro. I believe in God, and I don't apologize about it.
Wait. I think I misheard you at some point. I thought that you said Islam, and then I thought you said Christian just now. Can you clear it up?
No, I'm saying I'm a Christian, bro.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I believe in God.
Sure. So you're a Christian.
The
Yeah. Which
yeah.
angle do you want to approach? You want to talk about God's existence or God's goodness or what? Satan. Some
I
people
want to
pick the
talk
Satan one.
about God. I want to talk about God's goodness and also His existence. As I've seen Him in my life as an African child struggling
Okay.
in the outskirts.
Okay. So do you think that the best, most morally good thing to do when you see that somebody is in need, somebody's struggling like yourself, is to lend a hand if you can?
You know, the teachings of Jesus Christ is a person that I'm
Well, I just
believing.
want
He
a
says
yes
we
or a
must
no
spread
to the
love.
Andy. I just want like an answer real quick. Like, do you think that's like the best, most moral thing to do?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay, so like if that's the best, most moral thing to do when someone's in need, someone's struggling, to give them a hand to help them, um, do you I mean, man, what was I don't remember the order I'm supposed to ask these questions, and I had it written out. It's getting late, guys. God doesn't do that is the point. Like, God doesn't make this best, most moral choice. Do you believe that God is ultimately good?
It's very good.
Well, he doesn't make the best, most moral choice because you were struggling. You were on the outskirts. He could have helped you,
No,
and he didn't.
no, God is using us. God has created us as human beings to help other human beings. He has commanded us to spread love, to spread peace, to feed the hungry ourselves
Right.
as He has gifted us.
Right. Like if I were to send people out, like, hey, you guys help those people over there. But if I notice as the instructor of the people I sent out that somebody's getting missed, like somebody they don't know about them, or maybe it's like a really dangerous place, I can get there unscathed and save them from the dangerous place, but my people aren't going to go over there because it's too dangerous. Fair enough. It would be good for me to save the person from the dangerous place or help the person that wasn't noticed, right?
You know, my brother, you can never know God if you are not in God. I just want to make that clear.
Is that a yes or is that a no?
It's a yes.
Okay.
But you want me to answer directly, without explaining.
Well, I
I
just,
don't know
yeah,
what kind
I would like for you to answer,
because
then explain. Like, I want you to be able to explain, but I want to get, what I
if I
found
say
is that when
yes,
people try to explain their answer, they usually give like a nuanced, nebulous kind of non-answer. When I think that, like, they start explaining and I think they're gonna end with so yes or so no. But it's way better if we just say yes and here's why, or no and here's why. I think that's because I get the answer I'm looking for, and you can fully flesh out why you think that. So anyway, the point is of my last question, like, God sees some people who maybe they're helping other people, but somewhere else there's somebody who's not getting the help. Somewhere else there's a kid getting fucked by an adult, and it goes through. It happens. God could have prevented it. God sees it about to happen. He's watching it like this. He sees it, and he could intervene. But he says, you know what? I'm going to allow that child to get fucked by this 12-inch dong, and they're gonna scream, they're gonna cry, they're gonna tear, they're gonna be traumatized for life. And he just watches. Do you think that we would take that from anybody else?
can I've got a question for you as well. Because I don't know whether you're gonna allow me to only answer your questions, because some answers from my side, they need you to be in God, because if you are not in God, you'll never understand God, how he operates. It's like telling you about a university that you never went. You never went to. So me and you, I don't know whether you're a Christian, you never told me whether you're a Christian or you are a Muslim, you never told me about that, because I've got questions for you as well, as a person who's
I'm a
hosting this
Satanist.
life. Sorry? But
I'm a
my
Satanist.
conclusion is that, my brother, God is good. He saved my life. I accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. Then you remain in Satanism, I will remain in God. Then
Do you
I
believe that
don't think
God is
there's a
good?
relation.
Do you believe God is good because he saved your life, or for another reason?
You asked me that question. I believe in God. He saved my life, my brother. I was
But that
terrible.
wasn't my
I
question. My
was
question was,
miserable.
do you believe he's good? Is the reason you believe he's good because he saved your life, or is there something else?
God is good. It has been good even to you guys, those who do not believe in him. You even now, if I can address you, God has created the heavens and the earth. You are residing in the same earth that God has created. You are eating the plants that God has been providing all these years. You are breathing the air that God created. But tell me, what has Satan created that you believe him so much?
Oh, I don't believe that Satan exists. I'm a Satanist, but obviously not real. Have you
Why
ever
should
heard
you
of?
join something? Why should you join something that you do not know? You don't have a relationship. If his God is God, then you must serve him. If Satan is your God, then you must serve him. You can't be in between. You can't be neutral. The whole universe, the
Have you
whole
ever heard
planet.
of? Have you ever heard of Gabriel Fernandez?
No, I don't want to. I learn about Jesus Christ and also how to spread his love among other people, even yourself, Lobes. You need to be saved. You need to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior.
Gabriel Fernandez was a child. I believe he was like 8 years old. And all throughout his life, his parents abused him, put cigarettes out on him, made him sleep in a cage, and were terrible to him his entire life. Eventually, they would beat him. Eventually, he died by their hand. Um, God does not help everybody. God did not help Gabriel Fernandez. Gabriel
Can I ask you a
Fernandez
question,
was
Doctor?
born in 2013 or something. No, he died in 2013 at the age of 8.
So what are you trying to imply? Because you said you've got a God as well that you
Yeah,
believe in.
I'm implying that God does not help everybody. Gabriel Fernandez was innocent. He was a victim. His entire life was suffering. That's it. He lived to suffer at the hands of his parents.
Look, me and you, we never understand each other because we are not in the same God.
Do you
If we
think
knew God,
I mean,
do
Andy,
you think
don't you
that
not understand that child's suffering?
do you think that
You don't understand.
yeah, like
But
do you think that God is justified in not rescuing that child?
No, guys. Can Dylan mute, please? I think, guys, we are not in the same page here.
No,
Because
we're
you're
nowhere near on the same
narrating,
page.
you're narrating a story that that wants to discredit the goodness of God, whereas God is good.
Well, of course.
I
I mean,
think
like
that
if
the existence of those cases discredits God's goodness.
exactly. These certain
No,
things
guys, I
cannot
have to.
exist while an all good, all knowing, all powerful God exists. Like the majority of this world we find.
But guys, my question is, what about your God? The God that you are believing in. If your God is good, your God, the one that you are believing in, why did your God not save that child?
I don't believe in God.
Whatever God that you are believing in with a small g.
So like even if I did believe in God, they wouldn't be an all-powerful God. They wouldn't be an all-knowing God. If they were all-powerful and all-knowing and they allowed some shit to go down, that's on them. I mean, I love the quote, with great power comes great responsibility. With all power, then it follows you have all responsibility. Everything falls on you. Whatever power, whatever you are able to influence, if something happens and you could have intervened and you did not, that was something you approved of.
Guys, can I think can I have this conversation at around at night? Because now I have to go to the farm because I wanted to explain how God good is, but I don't have time now
All
to
right.
explain that.
All right,
I
man.
have to go
Go
and
on out
work.
and get to that farm. Yeehaw. Go to work. I mean, he was nice enough. He just wasn't tracking.
Yeah, it was kind of nice to confront on on the case like that, because it's hard to sit with, like saying God is good in the same breath as like hearing that a child suffers like that.
Exactly. Like he sends other people to help. Well, these people aren't helping. It's like, well, I gave them a job that I knew they wouldn't complete, so I don't have to
Right.
do anything about that. Could you imagine doing like if you had a task, hey, accomplish A, B, and C, and you're like a mid-level manager, right? You're like, okay, I'm gonna send my people out to do A and B and C. They only have the resources for A and B. They're not gonna be able to get to C. I could do C myself, but I just really don't fucking feel like it. Could you imagine like the shit you'd get from your boss?
Right.
Like you're not justified in that shit. Oh, hey, you dropped. All right.
Yeah.
Maybe it was an accident. I think they followed me, so it might have been just an accident. Okay, you guys say you move to a better location. Hey, Egas, you
Is
better
my
in a
voice
better
clear
spot
now?
now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm getting a little bit of an echo. It's not a delay, but now it's a little bit of an echo. Hopefully it goes away. But yeah, where were we?
So yeah, with regards to good and evil and stuff. So first, I think we need to make it clear, like what is good and what is evil that we are talking about. So good in like Christian theology it kind of like means like order and being and peace, right? Pleasure is only an indicator, like a biological indicator of whether or not something would lead to more good in the body, right? And pain is only an indicator of chaos or a threat that could lead a body to non-existence or chaos, something along those lines. So naturally, without God's illumination of His goodness, things that are other than God are naturally evil by default, by itself. But God can choose to illuminate some of His goodness or a lot of its goodness towards that thing so that it could preserve their existence and their order.
Okay.
And
I mean, obviously, I don't see it even remotely the same way. I consider good and evil to be value judgments. You know, like I've done this thought experiment before, where if we discovered the objective moral truth, like we like let's say that every objective moral fact was written on a piece of paper by God, and it was whatever is the opposite of what you think it is. Like murder is good, compassion's bad, all that, it's all just flipped, and all these things are in reverse. Like, oh, dude, like I would just happily be evil because like what we mean when we say morality, or when we say that something's good or something's bad in practice, we're really just expressing how we feel about it, and those things are based on various things depending on, but it usually comes down to well-being. That's usually the driving force between morality. It seems to all be centered around
then,
well-being and agency.
Are you saying
if that is
motivism?
if that is the case, then conversation about problem of evil doesn't really make sense though, because I could just say, like it might look evil in your eyes, but it can look good toward in the eyes of other culture or other people. Then what's the point of
Well, then
talking
you need
about problem
nuance
of
of
evil at all?
well-being.
Yeah, I mean, morality is heavily centered around well-being and agency, right? So,
Right.
and like this is, I think that there are some things that are going to be true to just all agents just for being an agent, right? Or all people just for wanting to have a good life. These are going to have, you're going to have these like
But
these goals. You're going to have if then statements like if I want this, then I ought to do that. Like if I want to live in a safe environment, then I ought behave in this way because it fosters a better environment
if
for
that
me
is
to live. And this will also just affect how we feel about things too over time as creatures and as a society. We have like a natural aversion to certain things that like we might consider to be immoral. Like if somebody is overpowering somebody in a horrific way, a lot of us will just be naturally off put by that. Obviously, not everybody is because somebody's doing it, but we have an aversion to this naturally.
well, if that is the case, then it, technically it's not really merely a subjective value judgment though, because your value judgment is contingent on something that arguably objective in a sense, which is well-being, right? Are you disagree or agree?
More or less. I mean, like I'm flirting with people use what I just said as an argument in favor of objective moral realism, and I'm kind of on the fence. I think that like, since like even that stance would be mind dependent. Like if you don't have a mind, then that just doesn't exist. I think that still makes it subjective. Like it's subjective, from an
Right.
agent's perspective, but then if you don't have agents, you don't have morality kind of thing. I think it's like emergent. I think it's something we construct. But like your thing, your definition of morality, it feels like it's just a doctrine that doesn't have anything to do with morality and practice of like among humans on Earth.
It has though, because uh good because we know that where there is like order, well-being can follow, like where there is like peace, well-being naturally follows, and pleasure follows, stuff like that. So
It
it's
just
kind of
because I
related
think
in
that
a
it
sense.
can. I just think that like the Christian paradigm can lead to absurdities. You know, like when it comes to morals. Like if do you believe that if God decrees something, it must be good? I'm not doing the Yuvathr dilemma. I'm just asking.
Yes, it must be good, even though it can contain some evil in the process.
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah. Like that, and that's what I mean. Like
the ultimate outcome would be good.
that can like yeah like that can just lead to absurdities where like in order to get to the best outcome, like evil is necessary, evil is like the opposite of good, but in this regard evil would be necessary, so evil would be good, but evil is not good by definition.
Well, evil would be necessary in some cases within the constraint of this fallen world, because this is not the world where God constantly illuminates with
Oh yeah, that was a
with
question I was
His
going to ask
presence.
you. Why doesn't God constantly illuminate this world?
Right.
Because in order for God to have like a genuine relationship with His creation, that creation has to have the ability to choose whether He lives in the world where He is constantly illuminated by God, or to live completely devoid from God. And this world is somewhere in between. This world is like a quarantine place where
Yeah, like
people
why
kind of
though?
like
Like why are we in
transit that.
between? Like why not just create us all illuminated like by God constantly? Why not like start in heaven kind of thing, right? Type shit.
Well, we kind of already start in heaven, like the Bible talks in the language of like in the garden, right? But if
But there
without the
was I mean
possibility of this
but there was
world
like but
or
like is
hell,
but like is there a possibility of evil in heaven?
no, that's why God created this one and
Right,
hell.
right. So like there's no possibility of evil in heaven. Do you think we have free will in heaven?
We have free will in heaven in a sense that we can choose to go out of heaven to this world or to hell.
So like a
Uh-huh.
different kind of free will than we have here?
Like we can't like what might
I don't
motivate
believe we have. I
what
don't
might
believe
make somebody
we
want to walk out of heaven?
temptation.
What would be able
His
to
own
tempt us
like
in heaven?
evil. Well, deception,
What kind of
stuff like that.
does deception exist in heaven?
As a possibility, yes.
Okay, what's a scenario where someone can be deceived in heaven?
Well, this is the scenario with the fruit.
What?
The scenario where Eve and Adam was deceived by the serpent with the fruit.
No, I'm talking about heaven, not like the garden representing heaven.
I mean, like the garden literally represents heaven.
That's what I'm saying, but like what about the
So,
actual heaven? Like I'm talking about actual heaven.
well, in the actual heaven, like even after uh, even after we go there after in the afterlife, the possibility is still there. But since we are saved, we will most likely choose not to be deceived.
Well, okay, so when you go to heaven,
The
when you go to
yeah,
heaven, there will be some bad in heaven. Some either sadness or
yes, because
anger or deceit.
yes, because everything that is other than God cannot be all perfect. They can be as close to perfection as possible, but full perfection it is not possible because it is
Okay.
only God's thing.
So God is not
In heaven?
yeah. So God is not capable of creating something that's perfect. Like true perfect.
Yes, like true
God is
perfect,
only
like
able to
himself.
make imperfect things. So like he'll like so okay, and something is perfect is kind of subjective, right? Like when you say I'm going to make something and it's going to fit, it's going to check all these boxes. If you fail to make it check one of those boxes, that means like it's imperfect. But if it checks all the boxes, it is perfect. Like an old, decrepit, dilapidated, condemned house could be perfect if you're trying to shoot a horror movie or like a metal music video, but not for just living in, right? Like moving your family in. So it depends on like what your parameters are. So if God's going to try to make something perfect and it's going to check every box, you're saying it's actually impossible for him to do that. That just means that he's incompetent. He can't achieve
That is
his
not.
goals that he sets out to achieve.
Well, I never said that creating absolutely perfect thing it has been ever his goal to begin with.
Wait. Say that again?
Why do we assume that God has a plan to create like an absolute perfect thing?
Because perfection is subjective. So whatever he intends to create,
No,
if he succeeds, then he's made it perfectly. So like if he wanted us to
not
sin and kill each other and
necessarily.
stuff, and we do that, then we're perfect because we're exactly what he wanted to make, right? But if he wants us to never sin or whatever, and we don't ever sin, if that's the only box that we need checked, then that's perfect.
I can create like for example a PowerPoint presentation, right? And that PowerPoint presentation, since I'm a perfectionist, I can make it like as good as possible, but it doesn't have to be like an absolutely perfect thing for me to say, yeah, it achieved my goal. Does that make sense to you? Because
Yeah,
like
but like, do you understand what I'm
like
saying though? Like, I just want to make sure that you get what I'm saying. Like, if it could not be better, right?
well,
I
because
want to make
perfection,
something that does all these things and does not do any of these things, and it's an exhaustive list, whatever that means. Like, can God do that? Like, can he? Let's say he wants to make a machine that makes ice cream and does not emit any toxic waste.
God
Like, does
God
he?
cannot do that, and God knows God cannot do that for the same reason. God cannot create a triangle with a
Dude,
Euclidean triangle with
like
5 sides.
McDonald's can do that. They can make an ice cream machine that makes ice cream that creates no toxic waste.
No toxic waste at all,
Oh, I mean, like maybe a
or
little. I don't
as little toxic waste as possible.
know. What I mean by toxic waste, I'm talking about like sludge that you see in those cartoon barrels. You know, I was trying to think of something that would like never come from the thing. Like let's say there's not going to be any kind of corrosive like acid that comes out of that ship. That's kind of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean like perfection. I'm talking about perfection in terms of like goodness though, like deception and stuff like that. That can still happen as a possibility, since uh, everything that is other than God will technically have some form of deformity in one way or another.
Do you think? Okay, so God, like in His omnipotence, knows that there's no way for Him to prevent evil absolutely. Like
If he
in any given scenario, even in heaven, where He's illuminating everywhere, and He's trying to prevent all the evil, He knows it's actually impossible for Him to prevent all the evil. So
well
He's
if
like
he
got to
if he
choose.
allows
He's got to
if he
choose some evil.
allows the existence of like another conscious agent, yes.
What do you think, Dylan?
That's a good question. I'm thinking. I don't know, dude. He's like, I got my brain fried right now.
Yeah, I think it's just
Is
clear,
it because
Aegis, that like
is it because
the way that we like look at good and evil is so alien from that of like a Christian or you specifically even like like if we say that something's good or evil, we're not checking to make sure that like it aligns with some God that may or may not exist. We're doing that on our own judgment.
Well, yeah, but if we want to talk about the logical problem of evil, we need to have like a consistent definition of good and evil to begin with, right? And something that is like as close as objective as possible, not just like an arbitrary, subjective moral
Well,
judgment.
I
Right?
mean,
Do you agree with
so
that?
okay. Um, I see what you're saying, yeah, but the thing is, like, I don't know that we'll be able to agree because your definition is just that alien to us.
Yeah, I don't think we need a consistent, like, I think the presence of morality that differs in other cultures negates the idea of like that kind of objective morality. Like, I think there's overlap. Like, you could probably make like a giant Venn diagram of like all the moralities across the world in different cultures, and a lot of them would have like a lot of the same thing where we think murder's wrong and like sexual assault is wrong. But then like there's certain things in other countries where it's like morally wrong to like eat in a certain way or like sit in a certain way, and it's like that's the stuff that differs. So why is there
I
standards?
I understand that probably what you guys believe, but
Because we can't
my objection.
we can't like base it in God. Because I mean, imagine if you were talking to me and I was like, well, I believe in God too, but my God is just like, let's say he's like pro rape or something. So like I just would believe that rape is good or some shit. Because like it's like a part of his divine nature, it's like maybe he's got some kind of reason like, well, for the like that's how I made evolution. Like maybe he made evolution and it people populate more because of that or something. Then maybe that's the argument that I would give. But you wouldn't be able to like argue with me because I would be committed to like this thing that this not real God is saying. Like I would just have this value because I'm under the persuasion that that's what God says or that's what God does or that's what God is or whatever it might be.
My point is this though. In order for us to have a discussion about like logical problem of evil, you guys have to at least pretend that there is such thing as objective morality
No. That's like the furthest thing from the truth. Like we can easily do this. Now Christians don't ever want to do this because like it falls apart immediately for them. But like the easiest way for us to actually get ground with this is if we agree on a particular action being good or evil. And then we see, and then we just go from the entailments of that.
Well, then I don't
because
know.
the
That's not
philosophy
really
of ethics,
how religious.
philosophy of ethics is like still it's still ongoing. Like people are disagreeing. You got people of different schools of thought all across the board, and they aren't all going to agree. Like me and Ogar. I don't know if you've ever talked to Ogar on here. He's an objective moral realist. I think I'm still an anti-realist, but I'm thinking about it still because I've heard really good arguments. But like we disagree on what grounds morality, but our moral framework is almost identical. Like we would agree that like this is wrong, this is right, this is whatever. And so like we can easily have conversations about morality.
But that would lead to nowhere though when discussing about these things, because whatever argument that you have against like religious ethics, they could just go and say that we just disagree with your ethics because
Okay,
we have
well
different ethical
let's
frameworks.
try this then. Like, are you pro-slavery or are you anti-slavery?
I am anti-slavery.
That's
Okay.
good.
So I think I agree. I think that's also I think it's really good. So who's right, you or God? Because God is pro-slavery, according to the Bible.
I don't think that God is pro-slavery. I think God just allows slavery as a compromise.
Yeah, but he doesn't need to
Right.
compromise on that. There's a lot of
Well,
things that are
within
way
this
less
fallen
important that he doesn't compromise on.
within this fallen world, it is inevitable for him to come.
So he's not strong enough to stop slavery then.
He's not even like hinting at it being wrong. I mean, you can beat a slave as long as they don't die within a couple days. That's a severe beating. Or they can die from your beating, but like it has to be at least like a few days out. Like it has to be like 3 or 4 or 5 days. So like it's not clear whether or not they died from your beating. Like that's something that he stipulates in the Bible. And that's for the
Yeah,
indentured
the
servant
Bi-
too. Like that's not even like that's the good kind of slavery in the Bible. There's like a worse kind. That's the people that you can't treat
yeah,
with harshness.
because God, due to His omniscience, God can choose whether or not He will prioritize certain moral issue over the other in particular times and age. You know, but ultimately it would lead to like a greater good than what is already there before.
What is the greater
You know,
good to come from chattel slavery where people are beaten to death and raped and stuff? What do you think is like the greater good that comes of that makes slavery necessary in your view?
well, it would lead to a lot of people getting aware that this is fucked up, and this is something that is need to be stopped.
Oh my God. So
And
like
you
it
know,
just
like
sounds like you should not allow children to like jump into fire or something. And the way that you're going to do that is by allowing children to jump into fire so we can see that it sucks that they jump into fire. Why not just say like, hey, don't go near fire. If you're a child, you got to be grown up. And if
Or
you're
like
and if
make
you're a human
fire
being,
not hurt us.
yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, like that'd be awesome. Like
yeah,
why can't
like
we all be,
like
Rack Shack and Benny?
Right.
like what I already said before, though, in this fallen world, uh, God's uh, God's framework is not framework. God's actions is restricted on the rules of this world.
But
Because
then
this is not the world.
restriction negates omnipotence.
Omnipotence. Yeah.
Not really.
It
Yes,
literally
really.
Because
does.
Definitionally. And like we can
Well,
even
yeah,
grant, like
because
we already granted earlier that like you can exclude logical contradictions. I think that's fine. I think that's reasonable. A lot of people aren't even saying omnipotent anymore. They're coming from Christians. They're saying like maximally powerful or something like that.
yeah,
You know,
I mean, like that depends on the definition
More
of
gymnastics.
omnipotence, though. Like the
it
way
just
like
means
the
all
Bible
powerful.
actually talks about omnipotent is that God has an absolute sovereignty over His creation, but He can choose this sovereignty in any way He likes, in according to His purpose that He wants to achieve, right? And the purpose that He wants to achieve is to have like an absolute relationship with his creation, and this entails Him allowing a world where He has to restrict Himself willingly from certain divine intervention in order to Him to achieve His other like decision. Do you follow like
The thing is that
what I'm
like
saying?
he still does this divine intervention in the Bible, right? Like
Yeah, but
he
very limited, though. But it's
very
very limited.
limited, like the time when he killed everybody in the world, or the time when he split the sea in half, or the time when he called lightning down or like fire down from heaven, or the time
Yeah,
when he like
because if it is not that limited, He could have just make like everybody change his mind and stop worshiping things other than God, and stop like the killing children and stuff. So
I
therefore
mean that's
He
the
doesn't
number
need
one
to
like
like
commandment.
drown. Therefore He doesn't need to drown everybody else and wipe them and just left like a few people that would do sin anyway, like afterwards, right?
So God doesn't seem to have a compromise when it comes to um what was I gonna say? Worshiping other gods. Like this is something He doesn't compromise on. He says like
He
there are
doesn't
no
compromise
there are no
he
gods.
doesn't compromise as a law, yes, but He does allow people to still do that anyway. Like
He has a
still let
strict
people to
rule.
choose.
You are not to worship any gods over me. You're not to use my name in vain. You are to remember the
Yes.
Sabbath and keep it holy. This is all stuff that's supposed to like glorify him, and he doesn't
Yeah,
say
but
he doesn't say
he
like
still
there's a
allow.
restriction here. Like he's not going to give any leeway. You're not supposed to wear mixed fabrics because he's a fashionista or something. You're not supposed to eat shrimp because that's really important. You're not supposed to have gay sex because I don't know why. And like there's a hard rule against that, but then slavery is like, well, I'll compromise on that one. I'll compromise on that shit. Like everybody's doing it. It's hip. It's cool. It's trendy. I get it. I'm with the times. I'll allow some slavery, and then I'll never clear up the fact that I'll never actually put it in my word to people that I'm just trying to like wean you off of it or whatever the case might be. I'm not going to say, hey, I'm against this, but I'll allow this for now for these reasons. He's not even going that far. He's just saying, yeah, do it. In fact, like you can beat them up if you want to. In fact, you can sell them if you want to as brides. And the brides don't have a say. So whenever they inevitably have sex with their owner, it's always rape every time. So God is okay with sex trafficking, war brides. He's cool with all of that. Otherwise he would have said so, because it's of the utmost importance that he says so, and he felt compelled to just leave it out.
Just because the Old Testament law is silent about it, doesn't mean God is okay with it happening as a reality.
I mean,
But it's
can
just
you
something
think of
that he
any
has to let
circumstance? Can you think of any
happen.
circumstance when anybody who you consider to be a good person would allow somebody to be raped or sold into slavery?
Well, I can think of a few cases. Like, for example, my heart wouldn't allow somebody to do that to other people, but if I know that my intervention would lead to greater suffering than that, then I would stop myself, restraining myself from doing that.
Well, what if Egus, you could stop the rape or the slave trade, but then you could also stop the greater harm that was to come of that. Like you could stop both things. What would you do then?
I would do that, but I don't even think that is possible to begin with. Like otherwise, God would already be doing
What's the P and not P?
contradiction.
No, I know. I'm asking, what's the contradiction in this? Like, what makes it logically impossible to stop the action and stop the bad ramifications of that action as well?
I don't know. That is something that I need to think about, but I'm not omniscient. God is the one who has all the information.
Because I think that like you're not justified in saying it's not possible, because you said that God can do anything that's logically possible. So if there's no logical contradiction to be found, then you can't just come up here and say that it's not possible, because you're talking about a logical impossibility.
Okay, then perhaps I will think more about it on that specific question. Good point.
Oh well, dude, holy shit! Like, thank you for conceding that. That really means a lot to me, because I didn't know if I would get a concession. I felt like we were talking past each other. I'm glad that something landed. I understand that like you're coming from your Christian perspective, and I'm trying to be sympathetic. Thanks for letting me know that you're conceding somewhere. Some people won't do that, even if it makes sense to them.
Okay. I would concede on the basis that I don't really know or think too deeply about that specific question before you post them, and perhaps like I will
Sure.
think more about it.
Sure. Hey, I'm probably gonna get out of here though, you guys. It's late. I was planning on getting off an hour and 12 minutes ago. But yeah, I wanted to continue. That's just Classic Lobes, right? Um, yeah. So I'll catch you next time, you guys. I expect to see you around again some point because you've been sort of reoccurring. Come back whenever, man. You have a good night. And Dylan, everybody give Dylan a follow. He's been fantastic. He's
Thanks.
new but growing, and he's kicking ass. His videos are great. Very relatable stuff there. I think I've saved a few of them. Yeah, that's good stuff that he's doing.
Thank you for having me come on, dude. It was a lot of fun to come up here and talk, especially after like watching you for a while. So it's cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, shit, like it's nice to hear that like somebody is watching me and feeling like it's cool. I almost feel like a celebrity,
Yeah.
even though I'm just some douchebag who goes to work and like does this. I do it late because it's the only spare time I have.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's nice, to hear. Yeah, man, but you have a good night. I would love to have you back.
Yeah.
Yeah, some
That
other
sounds good.
time.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, for anybody who's still watching, I go live on Tuesdays and Thursdays. For a while there, I was going like 3 or 4 days a week. Then I got kind of burnt out, and I'm easing back into it. So I'm just doing the 2 days a week right now, Tuesday, Thursday. But I do want to increase it at some point. And yeah, so I do want to increase it at some point. But those are the days that you can find me now. Give me a follow if you haven't already. If you want to come back. I'm really close to my follower goal, 5,000. What is that? 55 away. Getting really close. We're gonna set up a raid here. Let me see what's going on over here. Is this an interesting? Hey, so I haven't seen Radio Spencer live in a while this late. Let's all go raid Radio Spencer. He's one of my earliest followers. And he's been doing this for a while. He's a fun guy. Ex-Christian, ex right wing. He used to work for Fox News as a radio talk show host, and now he does this. So he's a really fun individual. Let's all go raid Radio Spencer. I'll see you guys next time.